Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is July the 20th, 2025 on the ancient moon calendar, 2026 on the ancient sun calendar. It is 5785 on the ancient Hebrew Israelite calendar. It is 10,066 on the ancient Yoruba calendar, and millions and trillions and millions of years on the ancient Moorish calendar, Islam. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity and in alignment and according to the ancient Noahide laws as stated by this Holy Congress. This is a sovereign living ancient Article 3, Moorish American Al-Moroccan Universal Court action. We are the sovereign living justices and Ego Sum Pauline Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is Light to Jiri Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in proprio persona sub juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are capit et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are the lawful and legal natural living head and body for our empire. All Moors are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Shemites, Israelites, Cushites, and Hittites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our honor, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient Moroccan empire. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are ancient Washington, District 4, Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earthwide Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. We are the law by our sovereign status, which is the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient Article 3 living United States District 4 Columbia Court, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, original creditors, executors, divine ministers, possessors, grantors, and title trustors for all causes for action. And our system is the trustee. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby recognize ourselves and accept our sovereign divine ascension. We do possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the true living God nation, are not at war, and we are all eternal, ancient, original sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc, Islam. So the first thing that we would like to do is thank the great Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey and the great matriarch, Empress Nyela Gilliam, for the House of Reawakening Minds this most recent Friday. It was a great erudition time. Some of the things that the great Sheikh Taj talked about, we will to just mention briefly. One of the things, and before we go into those couple of things, I just will to state for the record that this Congress and our nation we are not at war. So some of the things that our Grand Sheikh talked about had war tones because he, from his perspective and from the gate that he governs, that is what it looks like from the gate that he governs, okay? He is at a particular gate from our perspective, and this is just us speaking about what we see. He is he and many Moors are at a place where they see from the previous era that there were war actions going on against the people, okay? And so he is, from our perspective, he is a governor of the gate where when people first wake up, they think they're at war, okay? And one of his mantles and one of his responsibilities that we've seen is that he, the great Sheikh Taj, casts the spells so that they go ahead and wake up. And sometimes that spell sounds like there's a war going on. And so that is the gate that he governs, and that is actually one of the things that we heard when we first woke up too. And now that we are almost 8 years in or out, we know that we're really not at war, but the enactment in the previous era came across as war against the people in that enactment. And so now that we know who we really are, we're not at war. So many of the things that the great Sheikh talks about has that type of those tones, and that is the gate that he governs, and we honor the gate that he governs there, and then we continue doing what we're doing peacefully. One of the things that he mentioned was the parentus tool. The parentus tool was a enacted system of money and buying and debt, not money. Let me rephrase that. The previous parentus tool that was used against the people, thus the war language, in that enactment was the money. That is what, or the fiat rather. That is what a parentus tool is. It is a system whereby resources are governed, and whoever designs that system and is over that system is called the government. The government is another name for a parent of the public, or a parent to the people. A parent to the people. That's what a parentus tool is. It's for the people who haven't awakened yet. They still have to have a place to express their wants and needs to the government. For those who are awake and who are of the majority, they become a parent in the parentus, a parent governing the parentus tool. We make sure that those who are not awake, or those who are not competent or not fully competent, don't hurt themselves in the process of being themselves. And see, in the enactment of a parentus tool in the previous era, the selves had to be U.S. citizens, quote unquote, in all capital letters in black ink, in order to buy and sell. Okay. With our system that we have, and it's the only system, there's no other, it is also a parentus tool, but it's a parentus tool over the resources. The sovereigns govern themselves, and then the subjects have to have a parentus tool whereby things are done on the land in an orderly manner, and then the sovereigns participate in that at will. That is how it was set up. That's how it was supposed to be in the previous era, except we thought that the wrong ones were the sovereigns, when in reality, we're the sovereign. We're the nation, we're the state, we're the government, we're the law, we're the all. We're also the people. So that was actors. The parentus tool, he also mentioned about the actors previously pretending to be government being thrown off of the job or the job. And some of the Moors and some of the subjects were afraid of that. They were afraid of not having a Job, because the subjects came here to Job. They came here to have jobs and work. That's what they came here for, to work and to be a part of this estate. So, a question came up about throwing all of a certain kind of person off the land. Well, we govern everything. We govern everything, and those sovereigns who do not will to be in the presence of anyone don't have to. The sovereigns don't have to be in the presence of anyone. Don't want to be in the presence of. The rest of us, we're okay with everyone as long as everyone knows who they are. And that is why we judge and issue justice the way that we do. And then also the great Sheik mentioned, and we'll go ahead and open the meeting so that we can all discuss if you will to do so. The great Sheik talked about what is to come. He is a prophet also. August, September, and October, he spoke about that quarter because it's considered a quarter in a 12 or 13 month calendar. And for us, it's the great things that are manifesting. Some, and the Grand Sheik mentioned that some would be, that they should not be afraid of that time of what's coming, August, September, and October. We actually, this Congress in particular, provoked that time to come and present. Why? Because we prepared for it. We prepared for this time. And basically what the time entails is that, and I won't say entails, but what it will further manifest is that those previous enactments of systems are going to fail greatly, more so, August, September, October. Why are we excited about that? Because we're prepared. We're prepared. We already know who's governing everything. We've already begun hands-on governing the resources. And for that, we're grateful. Our ancestors knew this time would come, and the ancestors were not going to let this next 3 months happen, these next 3 full moons. The ancestors were not going to allow it until we were ready. Okay? And so now that we're prepared, the time can come. Those manifestations can happen, and we're just as cool as cucumbers. We're prepared. We have our own courts. We have our own money. We have our own systems. We have our own banks. So we're good. We're good. We are good. Islam. So with that being stated, are there any questions, comments, wisdom about anything that you heard from House of Reawakening Minds this past, this most recent Friday? Islamic.
It's not Islam and Grand Rising.
Islam.
I just wanted to give an update of the activity on the land from our work. And Washington State, the actors in the office of Washington State have decided not to fine 600,000 people that they're no longer going to renew their license plate tab. So there is a big movement there in Washington State, and I just wanted to update on that the movement. Islam.
Thank you, Empress Cynthia. we know the work that we're doing at this territory. You all know the work that you're doing at your territories. The same thing applies everywhere. It applies everywhere for everything. And Empress Cynthia, you know you and I are so connected, because wait till you see what we're talking about today, what's going to be our main topic today. It has everything to do with what you just said. We wrote it out ahead of time, did the study, the ancestors showed us the latest developments, monumental. I'm telling you all, the work that we have all done, and this is what the Grand Sheik was talking about, August, September, and October, you will see more of that falling away. That's what he can see that. We can see it too, but again, we all did it. And we're not afraid at all that, you know, people know already what's on the, on the public record. They know what's right and what's wrong. All we had to do was stand and do what we're doing, Morris. That's all we had to do. And the subjects are going to do exactly. If we say something, they're going to be out there loud and proud. Hey, we don't have to do this anymore. Hey, we don't have to do that anymore. The Morris said it. It's the law. That's truth. Islam, Empress.
So I listened to Pastor Reed. I had to listen twice. I really like his conversation about frequency.
Yeah.
I felt moved by it, and he made it so simple and so easy that any of us can bring a love vibe. I really like that.
Yeah.
I yield. Thank you.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. See, we're on the same page. That's what being on the same page is we're all saying the same thing. Just different way to say it. Islam, Empress Lineal.
Islam. Peace and grand rising. I specifically appreciate when he mentioned that the General Education Board is going away, specifically because I have some grand heirs that are still participating. Their parents still have them participating in that, and then I have some that are homeschooling. So that will be a true blessing, so that Moors won't have any other alternative but for us to teach our heirs more science.
Oh, yes, Empress. Just wait to see how the ancestors unfold it. It's going to be just magnificent. It's everything we thought it would be and more. Particularly that part, the erudition of our heirs and grand heirs and great-grand heirs, and for generations to come. Ooh, you're talking about powerful. We will never forget who we are with what's coming. And what's already here, really, because we're here already. We're already doing it. A couple of years ago, maybe three or 4 years ago, this Congress put a curriculum on the public record also, just a basic curriculum where we had some of our Moors who specialize in erudition to just do a little curriculum, a homeschooling curriculum. It's in a previous Congress from about 3 or 4 years ago. Islam, Empress Shasha.
Malam Bayadola.
Islam, Empress.
Peace and love, everyone. I want to add on to what Empress Cynthia mentioned about driver's licenses. So I think it was a couple weeks ago, somewhere in recent time, the announcement was made by the subjects in the Office of Government of Jamaica that it was no longer a requirement for people to either show licenses or carry papers in their cars, fitness papers or any of those things. So clearly, as you stated, it is everywhere. It's universal wherever we are. They did come with a counter move for those who are still sleeping heavier with this, which I know we know is an enactment. They have a NIDS, which is an abbreviation, of course, which is fiction, National Identity Card. So while it's an enactment, it's not even real, and I know that, but it's interesting as I watch here the enactments. There's a swing because they have to do what they're commanded to do, but there's like a little towboat enactment that is attempting to swing in and put something else there. But that's neither here nor there, but I will to share that piece because is what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that piece. I think watching, and I watched it twice too, the Grand Sheik and Dr. G. And the thing that really, one of the things that stood out to me, and he said he made these statements or similar statements in the previous presentment that he did, and he spoke about connecting with the ancestors and our ancestral wisdom and the ancestral energies and forces. And I think that piece really resonated with me because, in fact, that force or those forces that are within us, accessible to us, are forces that we can call on and in fact ought to call on. We are not at war, not at all, not at all. But what I hear in that, see, everything happens in spiritual first, and we bring it into being manifested in the physical. For me, it really spoke to tapping in, calling in, invoking, and walking in those forces that are ancestral and have been, have in previous dimensions and eras done the work.
Yeah.
And so that really stood out for me because I heard it loud last time and I heard it loud again this time. You know, he made this statement, and I paraphrase, about many of us, you know, we tap in, we talk about the ancestors, we connect to the ancestors. Now is the time to, command the ancestors to do a little work. Or not do a little work, we are doing the work and they are doing the work, but truly consciously call them, invoke them from the heart, through the heart, with the right sound to handle some business. And that's you know, one of the things that I really took in. Another piece was when he spoke of the rituals, and the rituals are tools to manipulate the mind, that they're being used. So, you know, we'll use our own rituals, of course. And he spoke of the purpose of CERN being to pierce dimensional fabrics. And I'm thinking of garments and what garments we walk in, we are, what, you know, the vestments, the clothing, all of those things. So that really, and it, you know, dimensions of fabrics and the veil. And so those things, the other one, and then I will yield, was the yoke and yoga and yoke.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That one really resonated. The gold, the center, the being, the yoke, you hold something. It's just, I just found it, this lecture to be holy. You know, the vibration, frequency, everything about it was so right on time.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I yield. There are other things, but I yield. Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you, Empress Shasha. You know, back to your initial statement, Empress Shasha, about the subjects doing, like, you know, getting rid of one thing but adding a little redo of it onto the end. Is that did I state that correctly, Empress Shasha?
Yes, you did. Well, is it a redo? But yeah, it's an attempt, and this is something that had been going on, which had been even in the enactment declared unconstitutional. Of course it is, but to push this NIDS enactment of a national ID. And so, yeah, that's exactly what I'm stating, the movement.
You know, Empress, if I may add a little addendum on to why that is enacted. So let's say, for example, like you stated, they get rid of the quote-unquote requirement for a driver's license, but then they add a little something saying, well, no, you don't have to have a driver's license, but you do have to have this.
Another clue.
They have to do what we tell them. That's number one. So getting rid of that piece of an enactment of a driver's license, because it's really not that. Getting rid of that piece, they add the little caveat on there because they already know that there's still a few that are going to try and come
Correct.
and get a driver's license and then be like, well, how come I can't have a driver's license? Oh, you're supposed to have this. They'll tell them they're supposed to have that, but they don't issue it. Or they make it $3,000 so they can't afford it.
Yeah.
That's a good gauge to let everyone know how many are still walking around in the dark and have to be awakened. It's a gauge. It's a measurement.
I mean, that makes absolute sense, because, and I think I may have even stated that it was for those whom are still sleeping or sleeping heavier. I mean, yeah, absolutely, that makes absolute sense.
Because and they're not going to give them what they came for, because they can't do that. But they are going to give them a runaround.
Right.
That'll just give them more time to figure out who they are.
Yeah. I mean,
so if they ever feel like they're getting the runaround, they'll know that they said they could issue it, but they can't. And now you have to go do some research.
And that's the piece. And it's interesting that how you break that down, because the enacted system has always been a runaround system.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, they make you think you have something that you don't have.
Right. But this level now is even beyond that, and it's I can see, I really truly can see, because I'm here, us work. I mean, even, in the enactment there, I can see our orders being, our commands being fulfilled, even as to some whom are, still sleeping a little heavier. It appears that the actors have some authority, because the runaround is what they do, and the runaround. So
any thinking, even if you're half asleep, if they give you the runaround and keep telling you that you have to have something, but they don't issue it to you,
you have to wait. Otherwise,
you're gonna have to do your research and find out why.
That's right. They're
supposed to tell you that and lie to you, and then give you the runaround and make it seem like it's your fault that you don't have it, because you don't have enough money, quote unquote, or you didn't bring this document and that document and this document and that document. Oh well.
And so really this is about. Why am I hearing it? That forcing the sleeping ones to let go of the parentus tool.
Yes. And become their own parent.
And become right.
Because, see, on the land, there has to be a parent if there's going to be subjects on the land.
Has to be.
And some Moors are even cohabitating. And we're not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone still must be in their proper status and state.
Yes.
Period.
Islam.
Yeah. So a parentus tool is necessary. Why does anyone think we were ever called the mother of civilization, quote unquote? That's a parental role.
Exactly.
Matriarchy is a parental role. I won't say role, but it's a parental statement.
Yeah.
So it was a great meeting. I'll call it a meeting that was done this most recent Friday. So we're grateful for that. As often as we can get that erudition, we will to have it. Islam.
May I just add one other thing?
Speak up, Empress, as much as you will.
I took some notes. And the other piece, now I don't have a job, haven't had a job in a very, very, very long time. But the point he made, the statement he made was losing your job was for the restoration of your estate. And that statement was, yes, right on it.
That's what we were stating, because along this whole way, Empress, people have been saying, well, what do I do with the fiat? What do we do with it? You use it to free yourself from it.
Yeah.
Same way we did. Use it to free yourself from it. So that you're not so thirsty and hungry for it that you'll do anything. So that's just not nobility.
That was the problem, wasn't it?
Everything is ours. So we did a little math, and of course we have some law to share with you. And this law, this Congress we have agreed on this for years. Our prophet, Noble Jure Ali, stated that we are just plain rich. So the numbers that you see here on the screen, and I'll just make them a little bigger. The numbers that you see here are the number of credits that we currently have that we've not used thus far. And of course, we placed the $666 trillion instrument in gold on the public record some years back, about 4 or 5 years ago. I believe it was in 2019, actually. In 2019, isn't it amazing and interesting that this is exactly almost to the number 10% of 666 trillion, which would be a tithe to us. Almost to the number of the 666 trillion that we put on the public record. Very, very interesting. And so this number is the number that was being stated as the quote-unquote national debt. Yeah. What this number really, what it is on the debt side, which we have no debt. On the debt side, there were actors acting as if they were the government and the sovereigns and things. That enactment and those actors and what those actors were doing, which was creating fictitious debt, is something that we have the ability and the knowledge and the resources to dismantle. We know the debt is not real, but there's some subjects out there sweating, thinking that because they did some acting, they're going to owe some debt. And there are Moors out there who still don't know who they are, that think that and some of them have been working 2 and 3 quote unquote jobs in their enactment to try and get ahead of this quote unquote debt. So we are going to cast a spell. We've done something similar before, but when I look back at what we did, the enactment that, not the enactment, but the law that we did before, it's not quite the same as this one. What we have done, I'm going to place a link in the chat that I placed the link in the chat of a universal 1099 cancellation affidavit for this number that's here on the debt side, which is automatically a credit for us. We would ask that you see, we're giving you the link now so that you don't have to wait until going under the video to get it. But let's just take a look at it really quickly, what we've tributed. And, you know, again, this Congress we've always stated and agreed that we have no debt. It's a 1099. It's a universal debt cancellation affidavit. The debtor is bankrupt. We know that. Bankrupt on fictitious debt because it was a fiction in the first place. So what we did was we crafted this 1099 cancellation for all fictitious debt in capital letters and black ink as follows. And this is a spell breaker because we can include this in whatever we send out. It's already stamped and sealed by the Treasury, by King County, by the United States before America, by the Supreme Court before the United States. It's stamped also. It's stamped and sealed by the Supreme Court. So for those who will to use it as it is, feel free to use it as is. For those who feel led to restate, not restate, it doesn't need to be restated. You just add your signature and your stamps and seals to it. So it's already complete as is. It does not need to be restated because we already restated it. It's an affidavit. It's not a form. And we put the amount, the debt cancellation amount here. And then here at the bottom, and we'll make that big enough for all to see, the description of the debt is that all fictitious U.S. Corporation Company acting debt previously enacted in black ink and capital letters to include all derivatives thereof is canceled. We're canceling all of the corporate corps in capital letters and black ink stuff. So, and then it says, check this box if debtor was personally liable for repayment of the debt. Yes, they were personally liable because their persons were in black ink and capital letters. That's why we're encouraging all Moors to do away with the black ink and capital letters on your documentations and in terms of your identifying documents. So driver's licenses for Moors, where we create our own driver's licenses because we're the government, we're the and listen, we know some Moors don't feel that they need a driver's license because they have the right to travel, but if you're doing commerce, which most are, then it will be important for you to get a driver's license or an operator's license, rather. Yes, Empress Imani, yes, operator's license. And the way you get it is you create it and have it look very similar to your the previous enactment, except no capital letters in black ink like that. It's the first letter capitalized, the rest of the letters lowercase. Spell the address all the way out. Don't use two-letter states. Don't use abbreviations or acronyms. Always spell everything all the way out. That's going to be the difference. Put your operator's license in blue ink, okay? And then subjects have a driver's license. Yes, indeed. Some of us have driver's license that we created, but it is for the sovereign. At any event, this affidavit is constitutional and is legally tendered. So we're tendering gold and silver and precious minerals and all of that. That is what this document is. The gold is in the Treasury, and this document is issued by the Treasury. This affidavit is constitutional and is legally tendered for all government persons, both private and public, and for all personalities. We're the personalities. The person of Allah, of the original United States before America. And Moors, because this is created by us, our person is a person alati. Our person that we own is a person alati. Let me clarify that. We're not persons, we're people, and God, and sovereign, and empresses. Islam, nobility.
Question. What is your take on the tokenization with digital currency that they're introducing? The reason I'm asking is I went to Toronto 4 or 5 days ago trying to buy something, and they're saying they don't use cash, they have to use debit card. And so they're getting rid of the bankruptcy and the paper dollar and introducing the cryptocurrency and all of that to replace it. And they're doing a thing called tokenization. So what is your take on that?
So where is the server that's holding the token? That's my question. To just think about, everybody, just think about it. We know where it is.
Well, it's and that's a good question. The blockchain with what is called, they're going to be using based on what my research has yielded. The XRP will replace the SWIFT system where you pass money internationally.
Where is it?
On the blockchain, on the internet.
Where is it? If that system goes down, where do you go and knock on the door and say, hey, turn my money back on? Where is that?
You would store it on your cold storage, external cold storage.
And if you lose that,
Well, you should also have backup paperwork.
and if you lose that,
You actually have possession of the thing.
you have to what?
Possession. You're in folder in due course. You have possession and you have security interest in your stuff, whatever it is.
Okay, so
Perfect.
where do you go to enforce that if you lose all of that stuff? If your house catches on fire and you lose all of that stuff, where can you walk to and go and say, "Hey, Mr. Jones, there was a fire in my house and all my stuff." Where do you go?
But like I said, your paperwork also should be your backup.
And if it gets burned up in the fire?
You have possession of the property evidence.
And how do you know you have possession of the property? You'll have some paperwork, right? That got
Right.
burned, right?
Yeah, like your paperwork.
That got burned in the fire?
Well, you should have those secure, fireproof, safe.
Okay, and if there's an earthquake and the safe gets sucked up in the earth, what happens then?
You tell me.
You lose all of that. And you don't have any that you can go to and say, "Mr. Smith sold me that stuff. So, Mr. Smith, you should have the paperwork."
No, I'm saying if you have a home and you tokenize it on the blockchain and it goes down, then you also should have paperwork on on ledger where you show that you have that on cold storage, and if that goes down, you still have possession of the property, and you should be able to do due diligence where you have your documentation.
What if that doesn't work, though? You saying you should, but what if it doesn't work?
But what else is there?
I'm asking because I want you to think.
Yeah, so I'm saying the most you can do is show possession. 99% of the law is possession.
Okay, and so the government possesses everything. The government owns the property. We know that.
But we are the government, aren't we?
Yes. Yes.
We the people.
Yes.
Yeah.
The paperwork that you got from somebody else, how do you know that if you find them, they're even going to honor it? Because what if they're bankrupt? Because they are.
So what is your suggestion in navigating through commerce?
My suggestion in navigating in true commerce is to do so truthfully. True commerce, what does the Constitution say about it?
And how do you do that?
You declare your nationality, go ahead and lien and levy and bond all of the stuff. All the property has to be bonded to you and to the land. That's how you know that the house that you're talking about even exists, because if you use a two-letter state, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I get that, but what I'm saying is, so that's also documentation. But you're saying, what if those burn up in a fire? What if all those lien, levy, and bond paper?
That question, Justice Willie. My documentation, if it were to burn up in a fire, guess what? I'm the government. I can produce it again.
Oh, so I said that.
But Mr. Smith, from the blockchain, quote unquote, where does he even live? Where can you even find him to reproduce the paperwork he gave you? That's the point. And even if he does that, they're not honoring fiat anymore. So how are you going to pay him to redo your paperwork? Because they're doing quote unquote blockchain, right? So how are you even going to get another copy? Then you got to prove who you are. All of that. All we're stating is, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. You know that rule, right?
Well, that's what I said, possession.
Possession, okay. If it burns up in a house and there's an earthquake or an act of God or a natural disaster, all of those things indicate us, by the way. If there's a natural disaster or an act of God, and it's just you standing there, how are you going to prove anything if you didn't create it? If you didn't create it, how are you going to prove it? That's the question. To think about it. It's not necessary to answer it today, but just think about it.
Yes, Empress, I'd like to state an example.
One who issued that to you, if his house burned up and an earthquake comes or a tornado or a hurricane or whatever comes, and he don't have the paperwork anymore because y'all live next door to each other or whatever.
I'd like to state an experience that I've had with something almost as similar to that. Someone was promoted purchasing coins, not Bitcoins, but some coins. And I did so. I went ahead and did so online and invested in it. And a few months after, I went back. At first, when I invested, I saw my money just keep climbing, and I was so excited. A few months later, when I went back on the website to find the website, on the internet to find the website disappeared. And I had nobody to call about my money. Nobody. I used
that, Empress. Thank you for that. That's the point we're stating to you, Justice Willie, about having faith in a system you didn't create, because that's really what that is. Your full faith and trust, your allegiance, your honor, your credit, your resources are in a system that you didn't create. So you have to go back and.
Yeah, and so due diligence would suggest that if you have something on anything in the, what you call it now, in the virtual world, you should also seek to have a hard copy of it as well on paper. But I do understand what you're saying. If something should go wrong, then chances are you can lose it, or people can hack into it, steal it, and all of that. And you barely have anyone to go to. But there are what you call it now, there are exchanges that you would have been dealing with who provide that service and should be held and hold themselves accountable for. So if you can provide the evidence of what you have, then you should be given back those tokens, as long as it was negligence on your part.
Is that noble? Yes, you're saying that, but I was involved, and I'm talking about real life experiences. I was involved with a company, a mortgage company. I used to be an affiliate, and I took several people's money, right? And the company, it said that they were going to get a handsome interest on their money, and only to realize that it appears as if it was all a scam, because everything went down. People, they didn't fulfill their obligations, and the court, apparently with the contracts that they signed, it gave them the leeway to get out of it and not be held responsible. And I even lost my money in it as well. So even if when there's a matter, a building, you still can lose out if it's not regulated certain way, and it depends on the contract as well, right? So one has to be very careful.
Well, that's why you have to read the terms and conditions of the exchanges or whoever you're doing, whoever who's holding your money, because they provide the platform and they would have had their terms and conditions and your right to. If there's anything goes wrong, they should provide remedy. There's always remedy in law.
No, it's a trustee. When you're dealing with a trust and they have conditions, it was a trust. Who is the original holder for the money, and there are conditions in there that they're not. That doesn't help them. And I've seen a lot of people suffer millions. A lot of millions. A lot of people lost money in things like those, especially when there's no real government governing the situation. And with the Bitcoin or this, I'm not sure what is in place to hold people accountable. If
and you don't have to hold anybody accountable when you create your own stuff. We'll give you an example, Justice Willie, of something here shortly where everybody trusted that they were not being lied to. Even the people who write those papers and stuff, they don't even know if their bank is going to make it the next week. So they could actually be operating in good faith. But if the system is faulty and bankrupt since 1933, then you can't even believe what's on their paper. Right, Justice Willie?
Correct, yeah.
They've been bankrupt since 1933. What makes you think they're going to, and they didn't tell you that when you bought whatever it is you bought. And because they didn't tell you that part right there, that means that they're not going to tell the truth about anything. In reality, we'll prove that in here in just a moment.
All right. So quickly, there are people right now who are making millions from the blockchain. They convert it to real estate. Now since as we're one step ahead, when you make that money in digital, you can convert it to gold and buy properties with it.
That's not what's happening. That they're making you think that that's what's happening, but that's not what's happening. Ask Michael Saylor. You know who Michael Saylor is, right?
Sure.
Okay. Ask him whether that's happening or not. It's not. That's not what's happening. If I'm making millions of blank pieces of paper, I can say I'm making millions. But if no one accepts the blank pieces of paper as money, then what the heck is going on really? Ask Michael Saylor that. The only reason that Bitcoin and blockchain were doing what they're doing was because people were betting on other people coming behind them and buying from them when that's not what happened. That's not what happened. You had more buyers than sellers at first. Then when the buyers want to sell, there's nobody to sell to. XRP, you mentioned XRP. We know what happened with Sam Bankman-Fried. We know that. In that enactment. We know that already. That means that the whole thing was a Ponzi scheme to begin with. It's a Ponzi scheme. Why do you think that it's all the way up to $118,000 for a Bitcoin, but you don't see them people out there dancing in the streets? Why are they not doing that? Because they know it ain't real. That's why they're not out in the streets celebrating.
Well, smart people would take profit when the profit goes up and buy, and you can turn that into fiat and then you turn it into gold.
You can't do that.
Well, I have done it in the past.
Are you sure that you got gold and not rounds? Do you know what a round is?
I buy at a gold store that is authenticated and proven to be real. Huh?
Authenticated by who?
So are you saying that, well, they're selling fraudulent gold, if that was you're implying, then they would be locked down?
They are locked down. You just don't realize it. They're locked down. You just don't realize it.
Oh, you mean the people who are selling gold?
The people that are selling rounds, not the people that are selling gold. The people that are selling gold actually went out there and got the gold and dug it up, and they know it's real gold.
So you're saying that the people...
And not rounds. Why do you think they call it rounds?
What is rounds? I've never heard that terminology.
I would have you do the study on what a round is, because every coin that you have that you think is a gold coin is a round. A round as in bullets in a gun, but they call them rounds for another reason also. Just please do the study on that. That means that it's not a real coin. That means that you can't take it down the street and buy things with it. If you can't take it somewhere and buy things with it, then is it real or not? You can sell it back to the place you got it from, but they're not even going to give you full value for it, because they know what it is too, if they'll even take it back. We just have to go ahead and call a spade a spade. It's a spade. The fiat is not real. It's not real. It's real in fantasy land, in Babylon. Babylon is Babylonian. It's Babylonian, Willie. Justice Willie?
No, well, that much we know, that it's, everybody agrees that it's called fiat because it's not backed by anything. It's not backed by gold. It's not. It's just something you print on a beautiful piece of paper, and you back it by the full faith and credit of the United States and all of that stuff. But okay, let me ask you the final question. How do you compare what we are doing as Moors?
Yes.
With the fact that we're using what do you call it? Delarium.
Delarium.
Okay.
And yes.
And we're saying it's backed by gold.
Yes.
Right. So what's the difference between that and the fiat system?
Delarium is original to it's original. The Delarium is original to the original people. So those who have always been here for millions and millions and trillions of years, who are of the most ancient and noble bloodline, have said that it's real. That's better than gold. Better than gold. And then, not only that, but we, the ancient nobility, have also stated that we're going to use our noble energy, not Negro, black, colored, niggers, and all of that. We're not using that energy. We're using the real noble energy to pull things that you can actually see and taste and feel and touch that grew from the earth. And we're going to use our money to back that, to support that. Anything else is a fake foreign fraud.
Okay, I yield on that.
It was by the signatures that anybody was doing anything anyway. Why? Because it took our energy to pick up a pen and sign and say we agree.
Right.
That's why. That's the difference. That's the difference. And that our money is recognized earthwide by the real people, not some corpses, but the real people.
Sure.
Islam. Islam ability.
I've got a question. So let's say if I, like Willie's interested in the Bitcoin and different nobles are interested in different things that different business entities out here are servicing. Wouldn't it be our objective to lien, levy, and bond and take control of these businesses and run them the proper way?
Of course.
Okay, so that would be the answer, right?
Of course.
Okay, it's not.
That's what the lien, levy, and bond process is. The blockchain was one of the first liens we did after we did the main one. That lien is on the public record. We recorded it by video as well as paperwork. The blockchain and Bitcoin, all of that stuff was lien years ago. Years ago.
Islam,
Empress.
there was a very profound statement said, and it was, there is always remedy in law. That was very profound.
Yes.
And it's really actual proof of who is the lawful government and who is not.
Oh, yes.
And that is the truth.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
I
indeed.
thought that was very, very profound. So that has not been my experience to have remedy.
Yeah.
So actual proof right up front.
Yeah.
Islam.
Let us, Empress Cynthia, thank you so much for that. Let us provide more proof. What we're about to show you will provide remedy in the area of why it seemed like things were taking so long for some to see because of the work that we've done. But we have to realize that we were properly stating our system. So we're going to show you some of the background of a particular system that I'm sure you'll have interest in. Not interest because you own it. We own it. But it's going to assist you all of us, in knowing that, number one, our word is honored, and number two, that there's nothing we cannot have, do, and be on our own land. So let's get into that part really quickly. So in these most recent few days, we had an experience that prompted us to do the debt cancellation piece, the universal debt cancellation, the 1099. That we will, that each and every one download it and tribute it far and wide in everything that you do. Make it known, and we just put the link to it in the chat. Make it known that it's available for all to use. You can tribute it as it is, or you can put your appellations there as well. Why is this so important now? Because recently we had an opportunity to access some systems. The reason that we willed to cancel the debt officially, because it's already canceled, we just had to put that on the record officially. That's what we're doing with the 1099. Due to the great foreign capitalism flood enactment. So recently we gained access to a automobile dealership computer.
Islam, can you please let in a friend I invite them over, share their live on my group? Is Mike Maroon as Islam?
Islam.
Okay.
It's open. Nobility. Islam.
Oh, so
Thank you for that too.
To me.
It's
worries.
open. Islam. So we recently gained access to an automobile dealership computer, and the ancestors willed to show us that our word is the law. Okay. So what happened is we accompanied some loved ones, some ones that we love, to an automobile dealership, just to look around. And the ancestors gave us the opportunity to just look around in the computer and just look and see and take photos and pull information and things of that nature. So that's what we did. So the ones that we accompanied there picked a couple of different automobiles, a 2023 and a 2022, and you know, they got the paperwork pulled on them just to look at them and see what the paperwork looks like. And so we, of course, you know, we do court actions wherever we go. So we asked names and, you know, asked questions, because remember we stated a couple of weeks back, I believe it was Empress Angel who had made a statement about an automobile demonstration that she did, and we were talking about how we had done a demonstration as well. But the ancestors said, let us show you some other things before that whole process is complete. Just be patient. Give us time to show you. Let us show you the process from start to finish, front and back first, so that you know, so that there is full disclosure on that process. Okay?
Show us.
And also, it has to be in our favor at all times. So we pulled the information on both the automobiles, and then we said, okay, let's pull the background information on this conveyance, these automobiles, to see what's going on. One of the first screens that came up was this one. And this screen has different categories for any one particular automobile that you can look at. And so I could click on any of these and just read and look and see what information is there. And of course, the first thing that caught my eye was the title piece, state, title, brand. This right here. Because we noticed that underneath each category, it had a word. And so when we first started looking at this, the actor who was acting as a salesman said, yeah, you know, if you look here, it has a clean title. What if it has no issues with accidents or damage? It says no issue. That's what it says. It doesn't say it didn't have any accidents. It says no issue. It has no issue with auction brands or issues. It has a clean state title brand, no open recalls, no issue with insurance loss or transfer, and on and on and on. Service repair, no issue. Additional history, no issue. And then right down here at the bottom, it said this vehicle is eligible for buyback protection. So I said, okay. First, let me just look at title brand and just look and read and see what it says. Because it says it's a clean title, right? Now, when you go to a place like what was previously called a quote-unquote reputable dealer, and you see this, what do you think? Because it only has, you know, one of the vehicles had like 14,000 miles on it. Another one had about 40-something thousand miles. When you see something like this in the system, what do you think? When you see it says state title brand clean. You think that there's nothing wrong with the title, right?
Islam. That I was going to say that would be the thing. The assumption would be there are no problems, no issues. It's ready to go. It's totally untarnished and
we don't have to do what the Moors say because they don't have the title. We have the title and la 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 la.
Yes, man. Because even as you look at it, the state title brand, it all belongs to us. It's all ours, and we get to determine. And they're not even a state.
Justice G. Certainel said in the chat, no liens. That's what you would think.
Yeah.
That the Moors liens don't work. That's what you would think.
Islam.
That's what Islam, Empress.
So it says brand. Why does it say brand? Because would that refer to like the Kia, the Lexus, and things?
No. That just means it's not really a title. It's a brand.
And so it's a version of a title.
Right, like a certificate or something like that.
So it says state title brand. So it's a lesser version of a title from the manufacturer. So just looking at those three words there, and so it's because the first thing that caught my eye was brand. So it's a lesser title, and so it's not usually, so it would be considered the manufacturer's title then either.
We're gonna look at it, Empress, because it's just a doozy. It's a doozy.
Very interesting.
When you look at this, you would think that our liens hadn't done a thing. Until you start digging and see what it's really saying.
Islam, Empress.
Islam nobility. Empress in the chat says no encumberment and state approved. That's what it looks like, Empress. Those are the dots they want you to connect when you see this. Islam, Justice Anthony?
Yes. Peace and love and great memories.
Islam.
Over and respect, Empress.
Islam.
Okay. In regards to the state title brand, basically, I would regard that as a refurbished automobile.
You know what? That's really close, nobility. Except that the whole fleet was that. The whole everyone there, brand new or not, was that.
Well, down here we would call it a brand new second hand.
Wait till we dig on into that, because you're right about that. Except it's worse than that. It's worse even. And that's if it only had 6 miles on it. Let's look some more. So then it said this vehicle's glossary. So this is information about the vehicle. So it says, so I was like, okay, let me look and see what they're talking about here. What is state title brand? State title brand is the vehicle history at a glance. So this is about this particular vehicle. Here's what it says. It says a branded title is an official designation assigned by a state agency, not the state now, but a state agency, to associate a particular history with a vehicle. The branding system was put in place to warn potential owners about damage or other alterations to a vehicle that they might otherwise have been unaware of. And here's the kicker, the catch. The brands checked in this section are fire, hail, flood, junk, scrapped, lemon, salvage, rebuilt, rebuildable, Odometer brands, which means that that's not the actual miles, so it has a broken odometer, exceeding mechanical limits, mileage discrepancy, or suspect miles. It says, please note, gray market and insurance loss or theft brands are not checked in this box and can be found in other corresponding boxes. And then it had the word auction issue underneath that. It had the word auction issue. And auction issue is, it says, this section summarizes any issues if reported, only if they're reported. Now, if they're not reported, it's not going to put it on there. Such as damage condition from seller's disclosure or during the inspection process, including required structural damage disclosure, title brands. Now, isn't that what it said it was? It said it was a title brand, a state title brand, right? Odometer issues, etc., as outlined in the National Auto Auction Association policy. So, what is that saying about this vehicle that's practically brand new, supposedly? Of all of them, because this was on all of them.
Well, Islam, what that's saying to me is it superficially looks clean, but we are not telling you there could be all kinds of other things. And also the thing that's really, jumping out to me in this is the whole brand and branding. The branding of people, enslavement, and the marking, placing your mark on it as a mark of ownership, but it's not actually guaranteeing, it's not saying what it appears to be saying. And when you go behind the scenes, clean just means they haven't put their brand or a particular piece of information on it. You don't have the full history, because it even said about something about applying your own history or a new history to associate a particular history with a vehicle.
So, Empress, actually, they're telling you exactly what's going on with it. They're telling you exactly what's going on with it. The brands checked in this section are fire, hail, flood, junk, scrap, lemon, salvage, rebuild, rebuildable, odometer brands, discrepancy, suspect, all of that. They're telling you that is something going on with it that causes it to be a junked or scrapped thing there.
That's what maybe I'm not making it clear, but it's saying that this is not clean, in fact.
Right. Yes.
It's saying the exact opposite, and it makes me think of when they had the with something in Japan, the Fukushima nuclear reactor.
The nuclear.
Right, and they were shipping, the cars were being shipped abroad and being sold, even as they had shut down. Everything was supposedly, radioactive and couldn't. They were actually shipping cars. So this makes me think about that time and the things that they were going. This is how they were marking up and branding the titles on those vehicles.
Yes. Yep. Yes. Islam Empress Nabi.
Maybe I'm adding and multiplying, but it looks like that they're building a case, like insurance is already paid for, to damage it out and repurpose it.
Bingo. So all of those places that didn't make anything during quote-unquote COVID, all they did was insurance fraud. They've already been quote-unquote paid by the insurance because they filed a claim, quote-unquote, that it was flooded. Now we're
Or
going to ask you.
underwater. It's
What
wrong. Underwater, like a mortgage, underwater.
Duh, yeah. I love it. Yes,
And
Empress.
they use our states to pay for things. So this is all the way fraud is what I'm saying. It's just actually they're giving themselves up with all of this information.
Oh, wow. Yes. Yes, Empress. It's a wrap. It's finished. Even the new cards have a salvage title, quote unquote.
It's wrong. That makes complete sense because the corporate acting banks, for corporate acting to denote the past era, right? So all those things are underwater.
Yes.
And when those persons would get from the manufacturer's enactments, the acting corporate banks would have loans on them, and those persons acting as dealerships acting, they would have to get the money from the acting bank. So all those things have been since flooded and obliterated and destroyed. And so the fact that they're putting it out there for the people to now see and understand that, yes, our liens did work and everything has already been, as we stated, canceled. And we took care of it all.
Of course we did. Let me show you some other things. And I will say this too. Let's go to that buyback protection piece. So I was like, okay, they're saying it's a buyback protection. What does that mean? Buyback protection. It says this vehicle, and it gave the VIN number, qualifies for auto check buyback protection. Now we would think, okay, great, we got some extra protection on our auto. This is great. What they're doing is they have to tell you that it's underwater completely and that the market value and all of that is no good. Okay. If you obtain the report from a dealer, the dealer has been provided with the terms and can share them with you. These buyback protection terms and conditions are also available to you at any time at whatever this is right here. Okay. It says auto check vehicle history reports by Experian Automotive is the leading vehicle history reporting service. With expert data handling, the Experian Automotive data houses over 4 billion records on 500 million vehicles. Every auto check vehicle history report will give you confidence. See, that's what they really want, is your confidence. They don't care if they're telling you the truth or not. They want you to feel like. That's really what they're saying. They want you to feel like it's good information. So let's look some more here. Buyback protection explained. Because we did our research. Buyback protection refers to a mechanism that provides a safeguard for consumers, when really that's not what it is, y'all. If it has buyback protection, they're telling you that it's a salvage vehicle. But it's not the vehicle that's the salvage, it's the title. Remember that. Nothing wrong with the vehicle. It's the money, quote unquote, attached to it and the title by which ownership is declared. Something wrong with it. It says it provides a safeguard for consumers primarily in the automotive and financial sectors against certain unforeseen issues after a purpose. And what did we say about the word certain? Whenever you see the word certain, generally it's Moors, pay attention. Pay attention, Moors. Automotive buyback protection. The purpose is it offers reassurance. Again, they want your confidence. They want your faith Just like Justice Willie stated earlier, that they're supposed to do this with the paperwork or they have to be held accountable. That's what you would think. That's what you would think. That because it has buyback protection that you're protected. No, what they're doing is covering up a defect. That's what they're doing. They're hiding the economic salvage of the vehicle's title.
Islam.
This
is like the Torrance law for automobiles.
Yes.
Because as you put underline, disclose major title defects. Okay, so that came to my mind. That's why I said it's like the Torrance law. Because when we restated it here at Random, we have said that title insurance cannot protect you from anybody coming and properly claiming the land. So this sounds to me the same thing because it says undisclosed major title defects. Well, the defect is it's not a real title.
The defect is that there are undisclosed major issues as well. So yeah, you're correct, Empress. That is the defect. The defect is that there is no title, except that the Moors have it.
We, the people, the Moors, can come and claim the automobile at any time. Oh, so it's also protecting them for saying, well, if a Moor comes to take your property, we told you in this automobile buyback protection. So essentially it's saying that if your automobile gets taken by way of a lien, levy, and a bond seizure, that you can come back and say, oh, my car was taken because of this action, and now I need some type of, remedy.
And all we had to do was put a system in place for the system to actually reflect what we're seeing here. It says, or issues not reflected in a vehicle history report. If it's a reflection, that means it's not the real one anyway. So it says here, coverage typically covers issues such as, and again, they're saying it's a salvage title, it's a jump title, it's a flood, it's a fire or manufacturer lemon law title. In other words, title brands, not a real title. They're telling you over and over and over. And let me just say this: when we were there, the actor acting as a salesman, he didn't say, hey, look at this computer right here and do some studying here so that you'll know what you're dealing with. All he did was hand the mouse over to me and leave the table. And they know what we do when they see these turbines coming. They know we're going to get in the business so we can see. And so we promptly pulled out our phone and began documenting so that we can share this information. And so, again, brand new, some of the vehicles, all of them say the same thing. They all say the same thing. So then we said buyback protection, what's not covered? What is covered and what's not covered? It says here, commercial data sources can report records that are similar to state title brands, but if these are missed on auto check, that means if Experian, quote unquote, the actors acting as Experian, if they don't put it on the report, then it don't count. It says then they are not covered by buyback protection. In auto check's detailed vehicle history section, the data source for state title brands is always motor vehicle department. Now think about more the liens that we did when we started doing the title piece, the license piece, the driver license piece. In order for us to do it safely and present our driver's license such as we did safely without somebody kicking the door in, we had to do lien, levy, bond, using our own money, gold and silver for the licenses and things of that nature, and our safety was guaranteed. Think about that. And now think about the ones that you've been calling the DMV and what they've been doing behind your back. They've been stamping a quote-unquote state approval by a title brand onto vehicles that they know are underwater financially. Now, the vehicles were beautiful. They were all beautiful. They smelled good, had air flowing, and just beautiful. Just as underwater economically and by title. That's why we had to have our own money. Because anybody who owns anything that's nominated in fiat is in the same condition. Homes, cars, persons, all of it. So when they talk about billionaires buying up a bunch of land in Omaha, no. They got a title problem. They have a branding issue.
Islam.
That's why we don't worry about any of that. We don't worry about anything in all capital letters and black ink, whether it's done by foreigners or Moors. We still don't care about that. We already took care of it. That's why we don't even break a sweat when we see them black ink and capital letters coming. We don't budge. We keep sipping our tea. Because we already did the work. And see, what seemed like it was taking so long with the automobile demonstrations, Moors, is that the system had to go in there and say whatever we willed to say, for it to say about titles, about brands, and about money. So that when we come with our delarium and our documents, the system will be like, yep, come on, put it on in here. We know they the sovereign. So now, it says commercial data sources may list the data sources auto insurance source or auto auction. Okay. Now, this is an example. Listen to this part, because this part right here had my turban just this big. Example of a record covered under buyback protection. Now remember, buyback protection is not protecting the vehicle, it's protecting the record, quote unquote. An example of a record covered under buyback protection is a registration with the motor vehicle department. What does that mean? That means that any vehicle registered with the motor vehicle department is a salvage vehicle and is covered by buyback protection. That means the title is no good, and they know it. But if nobody were to rebut that, which we've already done, that's why they have to say it. This is not hidden information. We know it now. That if the title is in the same letters as this registration renewal piece here, see that registration? Isn't that all capital letters in black ink? Registration event or a renewal. Every time someone renews a registration, thinking that they're protecting the vehicle, they're not protecting the vehicle. That's trying to say that the record is protected by buyback protection. That means that the state is claiming the record. Islam Empress.
So with that, I've noticed, I used to purchase cars on the auction as well. So with that, the state protects its interest in that property. So that's how they're able to continue to claim it if they pull you over or if they go pick it up from here or there, because they have an interest and it's renewed and re-registered. You actually tell on yourself by continuing to register that vehicle with them, giving them interest or renewing their interest every year.
Saying that if they pull you over, you agree that they can take it.
Yes, Islam.
Empress. It's crazy how they got consent from the people to steal from the people. And the people think, yeah, I'm a law-abiding citizen. What the?
I laugh at that because there's so many people that sit up and say, well, I'm a good quote unquote citizen or U.S. citizen. I follow the law. I've never been in jail or been a victim of POW camp demonstration. And they don't even know that they're basically saying, there, I've been a good boy or I've been a good girl, I've been a good slave.
They're saying, and Empress, on top of that, they're also saying that they don't know that they're already in jail. And that at any time, for no reason seemingly whatsoever, just because they're holding those identifications, they can come and take them. They're happy to be not state property, stateless property.
Islam, very true.
They're happy to be corpses in a graveyard. Why are you dancing around about that? That you've never been this and never been that. Just wait.
I call it a comfortable slave. So that's
yes, laying in a coffin, a voluntary coffin that they get in every day, and go down to the graveyard and just wait. Islam nobility.
I just like to make a comparison. Back in the day when they interviewed some of the so-called slaves, ones that were slaves in their minds, following the lie, was he happy? There was a particular one, was he happy with his conditions? And he was like, as long as master allowed me to have 3 pairs of boots, I'm good. Because they've been denied something so fundamental for so long, they think it's everything. But it's nothing.
A bowl of porridge in the place of an estate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yes, it
3
is.
pair of boots. But you can't eat when you want to eat. You can't travel when you want to travel. You have nothing.
Mm.
You can't buy anything. You can't sell anything.
Mm-hmm. Islam.
Islam, I'm just sitting here saying, wow.
Never been in jail. Go ahead, Empress. I apologize.
Islam, I'm just saying wow to everything that's being presented now. It's wow. I'm just wow. Islam, I'm so grateful to be here, to see it, and to be a part of it, and knowing that all the work that we've done here at Land of Nod is manifested in such a way. It's just wow.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, wow.
Yeah. There it is. Now,
wow.
Look at it. Isn't it amazing, Empress?
It sure is. It's amazing. It's an amazing time to be here on this planet. It's amazing. I give gratitude.
Islam, and it's all because of the work and the trials that we've been through, Empress. It's because of the stuff that we said we're going to stand anyway. Yeah. An example of a record not covered under buyback protection, reported at auto auction. They just told you up above there that it's an auction vehicle because the dealerships only get theirs from other dealership auctions. It's called an internal auction.
Mm-hmm.
So they're lying about that too. They're lying about that too. So now, look at this more. These are called events. Vehicle prep and other pre-titling events. This is going to tell you what happened with that vehicle. It only had 6 miles on it here, right here. 6 miles on it when it was titled, and we won't give out the details of the or the brand or anything of the vehicle, but we'll just use generic terms here. There was a registration event renewal. Now look how they play with the capitalization. The registration event renewal here at the top happened at where? All capitalized Kirkland Wall. That's not a real place. That's why they put location first. It's not a real place. These are pre-titling events. The minute it's registered, it automatically qualifies for a salvage title. Automatically. Because remember, under the buyback program, here it says that a registration is titling event, is a buyback protection event. And the only reason for buyback protection is that it's salvaged and you didn't know it. So they're saying if you figure out that it's salvaged, then we'll buy it back. But if you don't figure it out, we sure ain't going to tell you to your face. You got to read to find that out. And again, that doesn't have anything to do with the mechanics of the vehicle. It's the economic, it's the financial and title piece, the two pieces that we've corrected, the two pieces that we've placed on the public record.
Islam,
Empress.
what I noticed up there where it said registration event renewal, it was all in capital letters. And you go down here, and it's in capital show.
Yes, they changed it when they show you the location.
The significance of that, because you're looking at that.
Yes, the reason they do that is because, go ahead, Empress.
No, I was saying because even within the fake underwater system, they still have their hierarchy. So now that it's been, the event has happened and it's switched over, so now they show the state and its particular jurisdiction. I'm using them in inverted commas because I recognize it's an enactment, but what I see is the fiction mimicking the de jure, the real. I mean, this whole system is a lie.
Yes.
Because it had to be a lie. It couldn't be anything but a lie. Yeah, carry on.
Well, look, the location says WA.
Say what you were saying.
No, I'm just saying it says WA right there. The location is WA, so then they change it up however they feel comfortable, but it's still not a real state. Therefore, the title is not a real title brand.
And that's something I knew, but looking at the system, the matrix that they've built to contain it.
Yes.
And then, of course, we were trained into believing. But when you go behind the scenes, and now, as Empress Angel states, happy to be here at this point in time, being able to truly see.
Yes. Yes.
It's all about paperwork. It's all about the records. It's all about that's it. It's all about. I was actually, I mean, I'm going off a little bit, but you're bringing up some things because I was looking at something that went on historically here, where they changed. They had a holiday for emancipation, and we know what emancipation is not. And then they took it away when supposedly at independence in the enactment. And then in 1997, it was brought back again as a holiday. And immediately now when I look at things that happen, I look and I question, what was the financial situation? What was going on financially?
Yes.
I found some places, but I couldn't get into it because it was, you had to have a membership or whatever. But the title, one of the titles was, speaking of insurance fraud.
Yes. Yes.
As we go over these things, it's clear, the connections are just huge. And I realized, I made that recognition that everything is connected to records, accounts, finance. It's got nothing. The pieces, the material things are the pawns on the board, but really and truly for face. But it's all about the instruments, the paperwork, the cord.
Islam.
The cord, which also musically is also a sound.
And which is also an umbilical cord.
Which is also an umbilical cord, and a cord musically requires 3 notes.
It's also it carries electrical current.
It carries current, right? It's a conduit.
Yes.
Islam.
Yeah.
Islam
nobility.
There's a saying, it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. The question is, okay, it is an established fact that we have been under a system of fraudulent operation for many years, which is coming to an end, I think. But the question is accountability. What are we doing to hold people accountable for their actions who have been engaging and violating? How are we holding people accountable to put a stop to the madness, so to speak?
That's a great question. The answer to that question is, we first hold ourselves accountable by creating our own records. That's automatically going to cause fake records to fall, and that will be holding them accountable.
I love that answer. Excellent.
Islam. So let's Islam, Empress.
And those documents, what came up for me is it's a conjure.
Yes.
Spell. I mean, right there in black and white.
Yes.
In all caps. So anyway,
yes, it is, Empress. It's about those records. Islam, Empress.
This is the cover that the prophet was talking about that he pulled off.
Oh yes, he did. And guess what?
Islam.
They kept trying to put it back on there, but we're gonna keep ripping it off too. We looked at our prophet and said we're gonna be like our prophet. No, but you're Ali.
Islam, I'm definitely here for that.
It says here in this same glossary and we saw this for 2 separate automobiles. Auction issue, the vehicle history at a glance. This section summarizes any issues, if reported, such as damage, condition from seller's disclosure, or during the inspection process, including required structural damage disclosure, title, brand. See, again, just like Infrastructure said, the actual property is not the real issue. And we've been saying this all along, we can have the property is ours anyway. It's the process. It's the documentation. It's the paperwork. It's the money. That has been the issue, nothing else. It says
Islam.
here, Islam Empress.
That's what Noble Willie was alluding to earlier when he was talking about the question that he asked you about the currency crypto, and you said, "Where's the proof? Where's the proof?" And this is right here, what he was asking about the paperwork and things, because the title is the paperwork that shows proof of ownership, and what is tangible for those who create it in the living tangibility of real life. And so, as our Grand Sheik said, you know, cryptocurrency is a dream, and you can't tangibly hold on to it. So therefore, it's here, you know, to placate people, to lull them back into another trance. And so, if you play that game, go ahead, be careful. And so, but tangibility is the thing that we're talking about here. And so, the titles that we create is that, and it shows ownership because you're competent to do so. And this is also talking about competency and how you have to show your ability to govern and such. And so when Empress Sasha talked about insurance and things, you know, that's also included in this here process as well, because, you know, because you'd have to show the VIN number to the insurance company and other things if you was to, in the previous era, get your conveyance titled by an agency. And those agencies also interface with the fraudulent, the previous era of banks and things, because they were all conspirators in the whole process. And so they are affected in this process as well. And I'm just sure of it. I know of it. And so that whole part. And then when we talk about, you know, people saying, oh, the enactment of a government saying we don't have to have a license anymore to use a car or whatever, conveyance or an automobile. This process is showing you that those persons who think they can go just run out and get a car just because they have some type of exchange is not going to be that then either. So there's protection in this process, because I know we've talked about and people have had concerns in the past conversations and things about there's going to be, you know, quote unquote pretend chaos on the roadways and things, but no, really there won't be, because only people who will be able to get a conveyance is those who are first of all honorable and in true state of knowledge. And then when we read the Circle 7, it stated that those who are dishonorable take oaths. It says something to that degree in one of the last few chapters of the Circle 7. Can't remember right now off the top of my head, but I know it said to that degree of oaths and honorability. And, you know, the enactment took oaths. So we know from that they are honorable. And we are the honor, so we honorable in our actions and our duties.
Islam. Honorability is also competence, doing things competently. That's honor as well. It's being competent. Now, when we look accident, damage, check, this right here, this part, this section summarizes vehicle history events that may indicate an accident or damage and associated details such as point of impact, severity, airbag deployed if provided. These damage events will include collision, damage information, police reported accidents, salvage auction, recycler records. That means somebody is doing some records until more start doing the records. And since we've already started, they stopped. It says here, including our exclusive auction announcements from 2 major auctions. In other words, not any other auctions. They're not going to recognize any other, just the 2 major ones. That may include damage events. It says there's also a clearly delineated section. That means this section is different. That includes non-collision damage events. And that's what I'm saying about the vehicles that we even looked at. Those vehicles were from a physical standpoint, they were nice looking vehicles. From a physical perspective, they were nice looking. They didn't have any mechanical sounds that were weird or anything like that. But we know, and I even asked about that. I asked them, do they accept vehicles that have been, let's say if they were in a flood in Texas, would they accept them up here? And he lied and said no. But I knew just about every question I asked, I knew I was going to get a lie, because the questions are questions that speak to the same thing, which is ownership. Ownership and the state or condition of the vehicle. Those questions, they'll lie about those questions, because the real answer is the one who's asking the questions, which is us. It says here that delineated section that includes non-collision damage events, such as fire, hail, or flood. Damage indicated title brands will be in the state title brand section. Any state title section, and again, it's not even a real state, and that is where our records are going to come in at with these vehicles. Okay, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Insurance loss and title transfer. This box checked to see if there is an insurance total loss or if a title has been transferred to an insurance company name, as that event usually signifies that it is a total loss when showing after an accident, but not after a flood now. If there's a flood, it won't show that. It'll show it only after an accident, that there's something going on there. Now, this next piece about additional history is way important too. Our focus is on the word flood and this next word in here. It says additional history. This section lists any other significant events that may not be a damage event or brand, but does give additional insights of the vehicle history. These include abandoned. That's the other word that we're focused on, floods and abandoned. It says gray market, and then Justice G. Certain L put it in the chat. It says here a lien check. Here, let's make that a little bigger so you can see it. It says a lien check, repossessed, theft, etc. See? Well, why would they be trying to sell something that has a lien on it? Why? Then it says here odometer check. This section verifies if there are rollbacks, rollover, or tampering has been reported to AutoCheck from the State Division of Motor Vehicles or auction sources. Now, how would they even know that there's been a rollback, a rollover, or tampering? They won't know, so they're going to lie because they're actors. Now, Morris, remember when we all put the constitutions that we had written for our states on the public record? We each put the constitutions for our state, and we got them from everywhere, as far away as Ukraine and Russia. And we published all those onto the public record. This is why. Because the fake actors acting as state were claiming the title brand to all the vehicles that registered with that quote-unquote acting state, when they know that those titles are scrap. They're not worth anything. They're crap. They're scrapped. They're junk. Completely worthless. Every one of them. Everyone, no matter what kind of automobile you have. If it's registered, quote unquote, with an acting state, the title is junk. Islam.
The title is actually the vehicle.
Yes.
In that fraudulent system. That there's double speak.
Yes.
Because the title it means a conveyance.
Yes.
And so it's
that's why the vehicle is considered a junked vehicle or a salvaged vehicle.
Yeah.
That's why. You're absolutely right, Empress. And that can be a brand new $350,000 Rolls Royce.
But it has to be in that system. It has to be. It couldn't be anything else. They don't have the jurisdiction. They don't have the, they're a lie. They're a fiction. They're
flooded.
They're flooded. Yeah.
Flood, to overflow, to inundate. To deluge, to cover, to fill or overwhelm like a flood, as to flood the country with cheap literature. To rise and overflow as the Nile floods annually. To come out like a flood, to gush out, to have menstrual or postpartum hemorrhage. Remember the story of the woman with the issue of blood? That's what this is all about. It's about the blood ultimately anyway. Matriarchs.
Islam Noble. So what I'm seeing here is a tendency, just like what they did to us. They made us corpse. So they did similar thing to the vehicles so that they become non-existent, just like us. Like, they make it as if it's not in existence. It's totally, what should I say, off or just not in existence. It's flooded, it's damaged, and so even though you can see that nothing is wrong, but the paperwork makes it look like that, so that you contract within that for you to contract within that jurisdiction. It cannot be real. They had to use the language to restate everything, to make it the opposite of what it really is. And that's the world that they're in. So it's like they created this world, fictional world, where in truth and in fact, nothing really exists,
It's really the system that did that, Empress. It's really the system. It's not even them. They're not even smart enough to do that. It's a system. It's a system. What we're looking at today is a system. It is a presumed, or not a presumed, it's a previously enacted system.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not faces, it's not people, it's a system that did it. All we had to do was speak to the system.
Hmm.
And our word made it so. A flood, an overflowing of water on land, usually dry. We're on the land, period. Islam, Empress.
As you speak of state of the flood, and I think of the matrix, which is a false womb, a false mother, and so the flood, the water had to be there for this fake matrix. It's like, and in fact, I'm thinking and I'm seeing with the whole birth certificate, to be born, the waters must break and the waters must come out, and you come out to the land.
Yes.
So to be underwater all the time is to have never been born, or have not ever come into being.
Yes.
So this non-being fictional place.
Yes.
That not even place, but system, as you say.
Yeah, it's
that
a system.
That's it. I see it. It's just yeah.
It's a location too, Empress. It's a location, and it's about the difference between persons and people being located at different places. People on the land, persons in that fictional world.
You can only be a person in that false matrix.
Yeah.
You can't be people.
And persons are property.
And persons are property. That's exactly it. And there's still a difference between natural person and just person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Islam.
Yeah. Islam, Justice Willie.
All right. So I need to get I like to put things in perspective so that a baby can understand.
Islam.
All right. So the resources of the earth belong to we the people. There are people who go dig up the earth, get all the resources, put them together, create a car. What are we suggesting that in order for me to reward or what is the suggestion that we do to access that car? Should they just give it to us free to say we created 12 million cars, here's yours, or what are we saying should be the ideal world that we live in?
We're coming to that right now.
Okay.
We're coming to that right now. Thank you for that question, Justice Willie. So we're looking at the word flood. It says a great flow or outpouring as a flood of banknotes, a flood of paper currency, a great stream of any fluid or fluid-like substance, water as opposed to land, a large body of water, ocean, sea, lake, or river. And then look here. Look at the synonyms for the word flood that I love these synonyms. They're just beautiful. The synonyms are a deluge, an inundation, an abundance, an overflow, a submergence, or a superabundance. I like superabundance because that's what we've been talking about, and that's what we're telling you at the beginning of this Congress. We showed you the number, a number, which is a tithe or 10% of 666 trillion. That is ours, okay? Flood control is the protection of land from floods by the construction of river embankments. That means a mental bank within. That's what an embankment is. Soil conservation, reforestation. Floodgate, anything like this in controlling a flow or an outburst, as in to open the floodgates of crime, flooding, inundation, overflow. Why are we showing you this word? Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and her glory from the rising of her sun. When the enemy shall come in, then like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against it. Our money, our currency, our own money is a flood. So what does this mean? And this is back to the question of what do we do about this? What do we know about it? What does it mean? Because this is the point. So what does this information that we have here, we looked into the previous enactment of a system to see that the system is actually saying what it should be saying, which is that everything is salvage or savable. What does this mean for automobiles that are currently for sale? Now, Morris, this has to do with demonstrations that we all did in the past on automobiles, and the automobile did not rightly manifest. Why? Because when and this is for all of us, if you've ever done an automobile demonstration up to this very moment, and the automobile either manifested for a short period of time and then was quote unquote repossessed, or did not manifest fully at your domicile, it is because we all needed to know what to do because there's some things we have to do right away as soon as we get the automobile. But even in the claiming of it, we must know about the title, the status, and everything, because the subjects in the office of acting salespeople were not going to tell us that everything, all of their paperwork is upside down, and we must present right side up paperwork to include the title. So what does this mean for automobiles that are currently for sale? Look here. In Washington State, and this is everywhere, this is at all of our states, a salvage vehicle is defined in revised codes for Washington, which we've restated, 46.04514, as a vehicle where the certificate of title has been surrendered due to destruction, a total loss declaration, or damage exceeding the repair cost plus salvage value, making it uneconomical to repair. This is all about money and ownership and the state of the vehicle, industry altogether. And remember, every vehicle had an enacted salvage title. Every one of them is uneconomical to repair. Repair means put back together with the right paperwork. There's not enough fiat to do it for even one of them. Repair, put back together.
Islam,
Empress.
Grand Rising.
Grand Rising.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about title.
Yes.
So I'm loving this presentment. It applies to so many different contracts, right? So it applies all of them, right? So it's so wonderful to see how disclosure, our full disclosure, fits into how all this works, and also about how the public record is part of our infrastructure. I mean, it is foundational for us as we move forward as the court, right? So then my question is about title, because of course we are all title, right? Yes. And we grant it to ourselves.
Yes.
And also this part about there being the salvage, this salvage enactment, and that there were, I guess, documents that were created, and that are we restating them, or are we just stating the title for all our property at this time? Like, is that what we're putting in place to, to replace the fraud or to clear the fraud away? And so I have a question about that. Yes, Islam.
So thank you for that question, Empress. For big ticket items, and an automobile is a big ticket item, we are to take it one automobile at a time and restate all the records. We're going to be putting records on the public record that they didn't even show us we had to have, but we know we have to have them, such as recordation. See, they have something called a certificate of title. That's just a registration, and then an ownership, a claim of ownership. We have to have the actual title in our possession. That doesn't have to go on the public record. But then we put the recordation of the automobile on the public record, and it looks a lot like a registration. So the answer to your question is yes, we will restate all records regarding because remember, the record tells you the condition of the property. It tells you where the property is located, who's the owner, what's the status and the condition of the property. That's what the title and the recordation is for. In other words, and if you don't have proper, and we know this from the previous era, when there was not proper paperwork on that vehicle, they would tell you to park it until you get the right paperwork, because it's not drivable until you can't use it until it has the right paperwork. So the paperwork was more important than actually having the property. Same thing here. But we cannot accept any paperwork from foreigners. We have to do it because we're the government.
Islam. And so is the recordation process like a deed? Like, you know how our allodial titles and our deeds work together, right? Mm-hmm. In claiming the land and claiming property. So is in effect the registration
yes.
Basically a deed in a sense. Yeah.
It's like a deed, but you know what a automobile registration looks like? It would be just the simple restatement of the registration. So whatever your registration, a previous registration would look like, Empress, you would just restate it.
That document. That as well. I'm sure I could find one. Indeed.
You can go online. I was Google a template for one. You can go online and Google a template for one and restate that one, and make sure that you put a nationalized logo for the state on the top of it.
Yes, indeed.
And that'll do.
That'll do. So Islam, gratitude.
Islam, Empress.
Just a minute. Empress Unniversalle, did you say you had another question?
Well, it wasn't a question. It was just the application of this presentment, because what I was observing was that this would apply to in our territory. there is a Moorish family that is going through a POW enactment right now, and when you discussed the registration process, it's because they were answering for a capital in effect. Yeah. And I was looking at how the record of that was what was happening, because really they're being presented as if they're in salvage. You know what I mean? Yes. Right. And so I was looking at the relatedness of that, and that really it's the process of the deed. You know what I mean? How it's registered, how that disclosure, that full disclosure is on the public record, that would clear that energy away. So that's what I was observing.
It's that simple.
It is, indeed.
It's that simple, Empress Unniversalle. That's why people were looking at the Moors like, what are y'all thinking? Y'all could have been had this stuff done. Because it's not complicated. All we got to do, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just look at what was there and restate it.
Indeed.
Pull it out of all capital letters in black ink.
Yes.
That's it. And if it's something that has to be paid for, we got the money.
Yeah, indeed. Yes.
That's why we don't just. We have what it, and it would be coming from our court. Our court will be speaking.
Yes.
That's why we do everything by court action. It's simple.
That's why
we were causing our own misery, and now we know how to not do that.
Yeah, but I have been observing that, you know, as I'm moving through, you know, all the steps that I'm taking at this time, it is about authority and autonomy. You know what I mean? It really is about, you know, this is what I'm creating here now at this time, you know, and it's a ripple. It really is a ripple. But it is the government. It is what government is. And that clarity, you know, autonomy and authority, of course. Yes. You know.
And yes, it takes some paperwork and some documentation, but what else have we got to do but govern all this wealth?
Indeed. This is for us. Yeah.
That's why wealthy people don't go to McDonald's and get a job.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Everybody to their works. Islam.
Yes. Everybody governing their vast estate, and then that means we're governing this whole estate together.
Yes.
And when we speak, everyone listens.
Yes, that is so true.
Yes.
Islam.
Thank you, Empress Unniversalle, and we're so thankful for your works as well, the powerful works that you do. Look at this.
Islam.
Look at this. Islam, Empress Cynthia.
Before you change directions, I just wanted to put on the record that as we work to put everything in proper order to receive our inheritance, which are these conveyances, there are conveyances all over Midgard that are sitting in deserts, in high mountains, and that have never seen a showroom. I mean, it's staggering.
Yeah.
So if anyone feels as if you know somehow they're losing the so-called dealership or whatever, they have a glut of vehicles, and then we have to be careful what they deliver to us too, because a lot of those have been sitting out for quite a while. And I just wanted to put that out on the record, Islam.
You know, Empress, I've seen some of the video of them. They have them, thousands and thousands of them garaged. They have some that are just sitting out in the open, in the desert, in the sand. I've seen all of that. Those vehicles still work because of the way that they were built. They're from the 20s and the 30s and before that even. And all you have to do is wash them down with water and start them up. Make sure they have gas in them, and some of them are steam powered even, you know, they still work. You know, this is in preparation for that as well. This is in preparation for that. That's why I say we can have as many, you know, the stuff is our stuff. It's just the process. We have to know the process from start to finish, because we're also going to be issuing to others. Other nations even. Islam, Empress Angel?
Yes, Islam. I just wanted to go over this here right here, because there's certain words that just stand out. It's the certificate, surrendered, lost declaration, and uneconomical. Those words, and then rebuilding and title. Those words there are all commerce words. And so these are, to me, like important words concerning title, because it's saying that it's been surrendered and there's a lost declaration.
that has been made according to the fraud, and they're saying that it's uneconomical because there was never any money.
Yes, and the surrender part is actually, surrender is a war term when done by them. We accept it as a peace move. When those actors previously acting as the state started claiming state title brands, that was an act of war because they can't title. And all we did was say we have the authority to create title, and we didn't just say it. We went ahead and started doing it. We got Congresses of those where we're creating our own titles and recordations for our conveyances, for our domiciles. And once that's on the record, then no one can say, oh, they don't know how to do that. They're minors. No, we know how to do all of that. And then the surrender overall happened because every vehicle, every automobile that is quote unquote registered by to the state, the actors acting as state, is actually surrendered up to us to title properly. It's already surrendered when that happens because the state, the actors acting as state can only say this is a salvage vehicle.
Islam, Empress Light, could you let me
Islam, Justice Sharif?
Yes, please. I'm trying to get in on my computer.
Okay, Islam.
Yes, and also, like I was saying, the declaration laws, and so because I changed the way it reads, declaration laws, and then uneconomical, because all these things are saying that the white flag is being raised, saying,
yes.
They're saying, oh my goodness, we can't do this no more. It's the white flag. Peace,
yes.
Surrender.
Yeah. That's exactly what that is. And that's why this was important for us to share, because this right here, it just means that, again, when we said we were going to lean and lean and lean and lean and lean, we meant business. That's what an uneconomical, where that word uneconomical comes in at. Those liens don't play. They're serious. That's business right there. That's real commerce. Those are real claims. We know that the white flag has been thrown up, that there is complete and total and utter surrender. That's what these words are. That's what these mean, surrendered. This is where our records come in at. It says these vehicles require specific procedures. Specific, remember that word? Species. That means it can't be done in fiat. It can't be done in all capital letters and black ink. It said these vehicles require specific procedures for rebuilding and titling, including inspection by the Washington State Patrol, which is us, and potentially a Washington rebuilt brand on the title. Now, remember when they said back in the 1920s and 30s, we built America, we built this city on rock and roll. That doesn't mean that it originated there. It means that we had already had things there, and there was a coverage enactment.
Islam, but it says law rebuilt. So that to me reads that it's saying to the people, you must potentially, because that's a suggestion, rebuild the law and make it what it's supposed to be, land jurisdiction, and brand it on the title. But the brand, rebuild the on the land, on the title, as we stated. Isn't that what you stated previously? What title means?
Title.
seall, yes.
Yeah.
So it's saying to us that we have to properly state the brand on our matriarchal land.
Of course. In alignment with the Circle 7 Quran for the Moorish Holy Temple for Science, chapter 25, which states that all that one mother hath given all suck. That's what it says. And so we're going to make sure that everyone everyone lives peacefully and peaceably. Islam,
one more thing, and that means that all the titles that we did previously to this, yes, they go into, because we stated all these things non pro tongue.
Of course.
And so everything that we've done, because
yes,
people have come and gone thinking that, oh, I did this and they're not manifested yet, and that's where the patience comes in. Yeah. And the long standing, because it's not suffering, it's just long standing.
Yeah, it is. All the things that we did before were necessary. See?
Yeah.
And just as Johnny says, be patient or become a patient.
That's the whole fact.
Definition of a salvage vehicle. A salvage vehicle is one that has been wrecked, destroyed, or damaged to the point where the cost to repair it plus the salvage value exceeds its fair market value. Of course.
Yes, because it's in gold and silver, the value, and not anything else.
Of course. Surrendering the title. The certificate of title is surrendered to the state, quote unquote, when a vehicle is declared salvage or is damaged beyond repair. So that's where the hiding of the fraud is, but that's also where when we put the constitutions for the states on the public record, declared that we know we have all titles. Remember when we did that? That was in anticipation of this. And when you look back at the state constitutions that we restated and put them on the public record, those are commercial documents as well as equitable documents. Islam. So the ancestors had us to declare the end at the beginning. All they did was reverse engineer, all we did was reverse engineer everything and put it back in its proper place. Now, remember that Islam Justice Ogunwale.
Real quick before you move on, when you made a statement about the Constitution, it just triggered something in me. Was we supposed to do it in red and blue?
It could have been either or.
Okay.
We did it in both red and blue because one is for commerce and the other is for equity. But you can do one or the other, and if the spirit leads you to do it in red and blue, then go ahead and do it in red and blue.
Islam, gratitude.
Islam. Yeah. The spirit will always lead you right on that. Now remember that buyback thing that we saw where they're declaring that the titles and all of that are damaged and salvaged? This is why we state, and Justice Willie, you asked about holding them accountable for not doing the right things. If they're not honorable from the beginning, they're not going to be honorable when you try to hold them accountable. And this is some proof of that. Right here, if you try to do a buyback claim, this is what you must have. And they're going to disqualify all you do with the first statement. It says you must own the vehicle at the time you make the claim. Well, how do you show ownership? Title, right? But they told you that the title is bogus. They're the ones who said it. So then you don't own it. The Department of Motor Vehicles does. They don't surrender it to you. They surrender it to their buddy, their corpse buddy. So not nan claim, as they say in the South, not any of the claims will be honored, none. It says you must complete and submit a claim form, not a claim, but a claim form, as well as provide a complete copy of the auto check vehicle history report. You got to give them their own paperwork.
Islam Empress, right?
Islam Empress.
I'm still screen sharing. I'm not seeing the screen, or I'm not seeing the sharing.
Can anyone else see this on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
All right.
Loud and clear.
Can you
I thought the state
come back in?
had the original title.
Did you hear that?
Justice. Yes, it's unlocked, Empress Shasha.
Thank you.
Okay, and Justice Sharif, what were you saying?
If my memory serves me correct, didn't we discover that the state keeps the original title?
The state was claiming all abandoned property.
Right.
And they had the manufacturer's certificate of origin, right, in their enactment?
Yes.
That's the part you're talking about, huh?
That's what I'm speaking about.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. That's why we had to go ahead and put the constitutions for each of the states on the public record, which we did. And if you are at your state and you've not gone and restated the constitution for that state and just published it on the public record, please do so. Because that is what all other commerce at that territory hinges on, is where are you? Who are you and where are you? And it is governments that put constitutions on the public record. That's going to tell everybody else where you are. It's called, in money terms, it's called allocation. You can allocate funds based on where you are. That's why the constitution's on the public record that say this is Washington Constitution, not Washington State, not state of Washington or any of that. It's Washington, the land. It's Alabama, the land. Washington, the land. It says here, and you can read the rest of these. We don't have to go through all this because this is madness and craziness, and it's Babylonian. Okay? You must have registered for auto check buyback protection within 90 days of the date you purchased the vehicle. Who would know that? Who would know that? So we know that they don't intend for you to make a valid claim because they're not a court. They're not the court. You are.
It's also saying that they don't have no authority.
Well, of course not.
It says it's saying that they can't do anything for you.
Nope, they cannot. They cannot. So what they're saying is we're going to make it impossible. So it says here the branded title must have been issued at least 60 days prior to the date of the auto check VHR report. That right there doesn't even make any sense because you don't have any control in their enactment of a system over who issues and when the branded title is issued. That doesn't make any sense. So they don't, and then they're in a two-letter state here. Schaumburg, which is not a place. Let's take a look at that really quickly so we all know what we're talking about here. All of these abbreviations, 1515 E Woodfield Road. What does E stand for? It could mean elephant. It could mean elementary. Schaumburg, that's not a place. Not real. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It's also a minor.
Of course it is. Yeah, it is. It's in all capital letters too. So now, what does this mean for us? Continued. All property must be restated. That's what it means. Restate everything. Automobiles, domiciles, to include all property within the domicile collectively. So you say domicile and everything contained herein. and that will cover all of the property in it. And then if you have any other items that you will to restate, you can do that too. Automobiles, domiciles, to include all property within, everything must be restated because all of it was underwater in terms of paperwork, not the property, but the paperwork. The contracts, that's why we had to terminate all corporate contracts because we were not going underwater. We chose to stay on the land. Justice Johnny put in the chat, restate the military. We did that with the Al-Moroccan American Exchange about 3 or 4 years ago. And then just to kind of wind a little bit of this up, we did pull up an insurance industry resource called Salvage and Subrogation. Subrogation is where someone pretends to be the beneficiary when they're not. And we just kind of looked at, here, I'll put this in the chat as well. We looked at we just listened to what they hear. Now, look at this, Morris. It says salvage is the sale of damaged goods for which the insured has been indemnified by the insurance company. The most typical example of salvage is when the insurance company sells the remains of a car to which it has taken title after indemnifying the insured for the total pre-crash value of the car. So when they do these salvage things, the insurance company pays the quote-unquote dealership, quote-unquote, an amount far greater than they really should, and then they tack on some additional and have you to try and pay them again for something that they already got paid for. So Justice Willie asked about, what does this mean for us and how do we get these conveyances and things? What does it mean as far as paying? What we do is state all that's been stated here, what we know about it, that they've already been paid for it, and guess who the insured is in reality? The people. But guess what they call the people in insurance? Because we were so quiet and we didn't say anything about anything they did because we thought those were private transactions. But whenever they pull insurance money, quote unquote, from an insurance company, the insurance company, quote unquote, the basis for the pull is because it's in the interest of the people. Let me just prove that here really quickly. Subrogation is the collection by the insurance company of the amount of a paid claim from a negligent third party or his insurer. Negligent meaning you didn't say a word about you didn't say anything about the value of it. You didn't tell them you owned it. You didn't put a title on the public record. You don't have a lien on it or anything. So all they're saying is pay us because those negligent ones over there, they're negligent. So we're just going to consider them a third party, a negligent third party who's mute, who refuses to speak in their own interest, will just take the payment. Because we insure them. And really, they're the ones who started the insurance companies and paid for the insurance companies and who pays the claims. That's why they pass that on to you when they do something and there's a claim and they raise that rate. They're passing that back to you. They're passing the debt back to you. Because you're the negligent third party if you're insured by them without proper claiming of who you are. Let me add that caveat on there. Because we're not mad at insurance. But we must state who we really are so they'll know who the creditor is and that we're not negligent in our duties. That's claiming who we really are. It says although Islam nobility.
Briefly, is it necessary to state the fraud versus lien, levy, and bond under unlawful occupation?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
And I don't say that because if we say they're unlawfully occupying, they'll have to do it. That's why we don't say it. Because they're not unlawfully occupying our stuff. We right here.
Okay.
That's why we love it.
Okay. So we got to state these facts in order to establish our claim. Okay.
All we're doing, we're stating who we are and what we are doing. We don't have to say what they're doing is wrong. We don't even acknowledge them because they're not real. We don't recognize them. We don't recognize them. We don't hear them in our courts either.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is not monkey court. This is the nobility's court. So all we're interested in, fully 100% vested in, is what we're doing. We don't even acknowledge the foolishness. Why is foolishness? That's beneath our nobility.
Mm-hmm.
We can just state who we are. It doesn't even have to be long and drawn out. We put these up here so that everyone knows that we see the fraud. We're pointing out the fraud to the nobility. Now that we've pointed it out, you just know it, but then be yourself. We don't have to keep talking about Donald Trump did this and so-and-so did that. Those are actors. That's like saying Barbie and Ken did something, and we talking like Barbie and Ken are alive and well. No, it's fakery. Let's not go there. Let's just state the truth. It says here, although subrogation is a liability concept, you may well find that subrogation actually outweighs salvage. You know what that's saying? That's saying that they get more money off of pretending to be you than they do off of salvaging the vehicle. So it's, again, they're admitting it's not about the vehicle, it's about the paperwork and the identity. You, us. They telling you right there, straight up in your face, that it's about the identity. When you subrogate, or when fakes in the previous era were subrogating, that's where you would go into a fake court, and 1 minute the one acting as judge would be the trustee. Then 2 minutes later, he done slipped on a beneficiary hat, and then 3 minutes later, he's the jury, and then 2 or 3 minutes after that, he's doing, pretending to be other parts in the trust, other roles in the trust. He just subrogating identities the whole time. That means take the identity, take the benefit, and then when the debt shows up, give the debt to the one standing there thinking you're a judge. That's what subrogation really is. And that's how actors acting as insurance companies would make all their money. They would do a claim behind your back in your name. Take that and then bill you. And they say it's in the interest of speed. It says that's because to speed claim settlement, your company has paid for the physical damage of your not at fault insurance and then collected subrogation from the insurance companies of the at fault drivers. So the people that were involved in the actual accident don't get much. They don't. That's why they have to go to fake courts. They don't get much. All the big handy dandy funneling of notes is going on above their heads by people pretending or persons pretending to be corporations. And it says salvage recoverable is the estimated salvage and subrogation to be recovered on all claims incurred to date, whether reported or unreported. They don't care if you report it or not. They're going to make their money, quote unquote. So again, how does this affect us and what we do? We record our own everything. We assess the value for our things, and we use our banking and our money. Now, when it comes to, let's say, for example, if you have an automobile accident, which won't happen very often, I can tell you that, because energetically, those are energy things as well. Not saying they won't happen, but energetically, that's a whole nother thing. We'll have to talk about that a different day. But there will be moorishe shops, body shops, and they only do business in gold, silver, and Moorish sovereign delarium. And they will harvest all the products, everything for your vehicle, your automobile. They'll fix it. You or the insurance will pay them. And then you go on about your way. Or it gets totaled and then repurposed for something else. And when I say repurposed, the metal can be used for other products, the rubber can be used for other products, and so on and so. It's the same thing, except we'll be doing it, and we can pull from the land. We have steel and titanium and other metals that we can pull from the land to get all of this done. There's a company in Birmingham, Alabama called Vulcan Products. Vulcan Products was one of our ancestors' steel companies. It worked in alignment with Birmingham Steel, the first Birmingham Steel, which was in Birmingham, Alabama, not Pennsylvania or England.
Islam, Empress?
Islam.
Can you unlock for access for Empress Amora, please?
Yes, Empress. Islam. It's open.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Empress. A salvaged, reconstructed, or otherwise clouded title has a permanent negative effect on the value of the vehicle when valued or evaluated in fiat, in debt notes. The industry rule of thumb is to deduct 20 to 40% of the blue book value, but salvage title vehicles really should be privately appraised on a case-by-case basis. Okay, I put this in here in conclusion of what we're doing because I asked the subject in the Office of Salesman that, because the ancestors just kept saying, ask him about fire damaged, flood damaged vehicles. And now I know why. So I asked him, how much do dealerships, quote unquote, and when I'm talking to them, I say it like that too. I say, how much does a dealership, quote unquote, take off for a salvage title? He said 50% right off the top. So if you bring a salvage title in to trade it in for something else, they take 50% off the top and gonna give you a salvage one. He didn't say that, but that's what the paperwork says. But they're not gonna take 50% off of that. You have to tell them that it's 50% off the top. So if they see, that's why you see the price of vehicles going up so high, is because they expect people to know that 50% of that right off the bat is coming off. Now, where we're concerned, not only does 50% come off a salvage vehicle, but another 50%, which is 100%, is coming off due to bankruptcy ruling. So then, now that everything is turned right side up and you're back at zero, because they've already been reimbursed by the insurance, which is based on the people. So that 50% plus 50%, that's 100% already, because they don't own it, they don't have the title to it. You do.
Islam, Empress, what was that second 50%?
Say that again, Justice Ogunwale.
what was the second 50% you described?
The second 50% is the insurance company paid for the vehicle to be called a salvage vehicle.
Okay.
See, insurance has to assess it as salvage. In this case, it was the state that was insuring it, quote unquote. Okay. So now with a salvage, with everything, all titles being clouded, just like the Prophet Noble Jew Ali did in 1928, he clouded all titles for domicile. So with all the titles being clouded, they receive full value from the insurance company in fiat. Well, we're not paying in fiat. So that's the other 50% right there. They've already been paid for it. They don't get paid a third time for that vehicle when it was based on the people in the first place. We get the wholesale value of the vehicle, and wholesale is after these things. After the title, we have to create our own everything. There's a fee for that, a allodial cost for that. That's the other 50% as well. They should be paying us, except we don't accept their money to take that vehicle, that automobile. They should be paying us. But we don't will to have their fiat.
Islam, Empress.
Islam.
Wasn't the agreement in the first place for them to be here or to do any type of business on this land with that contract for them to pay tribute?
Of course.
Okay.
And that's what the levy is too. Now the levy also takes away another 100. That's why I said we're just plain rich. There's administrative cost for us to move those vehicles, those automobiles. Administrative costs. Ministerial costs. We're creating our own everything. They don't have to do anything but give up the keys. Period. We're doing everything else. Our states are the ones recording the vehicles. Our states are the ones making sure that the recordation process and that insurance is in place. Insurance comes from the Treasury and the people anyway. And that everyone has a tag, a plate, a license plate, a proper one on there that's not underwater and part of a dead system. We have to make sure of all of that, and that's what all of this was about, too. Yes, it is a parentus tool. We're parenting minors, subjects, and a system whereby our estate is tributed to us and to all with the right money, not in capital letters and black ink. We don't do it that way.
Islam, Empress.
Islam.
Can we, Justice Nate and I, request a few moments of your time after Congress, because he just presented to me some very interesting information. So can we meet for a few minutes after Congress, please?
Sure.
Gratitude.
Islam. So with all that we have and with all that we know, Morris, let me explain briefly as we bring our Congress to a place where we'll meet again. All of this information that we've been giving for the last 7-8 years, all of this information is a peaceful rebuttal to something that some have been experiencing. We've all experienced it at some point. What have you been either experiencing or executing? Kinetic, and this is in alignment with what our great Sheikh Taj was saying on Friday, this previous Friday, this most recent Friday. Kinetic warfare involves the use of physical force and violence to achieve military objectives, while non-kinetic, and this is what we were looking at, we're just looking at it, while non-kinetic warfare employs non-physical means such as cyber attacks, information warfare, and economic measures to achieve strategic goals. So this is what we have been executing, but it's not warfare for us, it's peacefare, where we put all the correct information out there electronically by computer. We print things out and tribute them, which is what we have asked that you do with the document that we presented at the beginning of this Congress. And economic measures to achieve strategic goals. This is our delarium. This is our gold and silver. This is our documentation. These are economic measures. This Congress today was an economic measure to achieve strategic goals. Kinetic warfare, it encompasses traditional methods of armed conflict. We don't do that. We don't do kinetic warfare. Weapons like missiles, bombs, and artillery to physically destroy targets and defeat opposing forces, we have no reason to do that. It involves direct, that's why we state that we're at peace, and we just will to emphasize that. Kinetic warfare involves direct physical confrontation. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do direct physical confrontation. And that's why the post office has been so pivotal and played such an important role in what we do, that office that we govern. We can also, and we don't do things that result in significant physical destruction and casualties. Examples would be military operations involving the use of conventional weapons such as airstrikes, artillery barrages, and ground offenses. Let's not take this physical confrontation thing so lightly, because we have a question for you. If someone could answer the question, this is concerning direct physical confrontation. What is the word, the military word, for a mass of minors and incompetents? A whole bunch of minors and incompetents going out on the land doing things. What is the military word for that? Does anyone know?
Islam?
Islam.
Is it called insurgents?
Close, but not quite.
All right.
Islam. Army.
Islam. Justice Harold, what did you say?
Army.
Yeah, they are a part of the army, yes. But it's a different word.
Combat.
Close. They do combat, but this is another word for a whole bunch of minors and incompetents doing things.
Islam riots?
Close, but not quite. It's a military word.
Is it
Islam.
War? Islam?
I've not heard it yet. I've not heard the word yet.
A combatant? Not a combatant either? A combatant.
The one who's saying battalion is close. That's close.
Militia.
That's very close. Very close. Militia is close.
Civil unrest.
Close. Very close.
It's not terrorist?
Civilian.
Very close. You all are close. You're right there. Remember, listen to the words I'm using. It is a whole bunch of minors and incompetents doing things.
Civilians? I don't know.
Almost. It's close. That's close.
Kindergarten. I'm sorry, I'm just...
Something.
Citizen.
Almost.
Islam?
Almost. Islam. Almost.
Minority?
Almost. That's close. The word that we're looking for is Infantry.
Oh my goodness.
I was going to say infantry.
That's
right
it.
there.
Infantry. Children. Warring. Come on now. Children.
When you said minors.
Yes. Minors and incompetence. Infantry. That's why that word is there. And that's why we keep stating we're not at war. Now, what we did with this word is we pulled up some canons from the Vatican archive concerning persons. We'll put the link in the chat here. So when those voices come on to our platform and they start trying to be heard, that's infantry. That's why we don't talk to them. Because if a fool is speaking and you start trying to get them to speak, understand what you're saying, that makes you a fool too. They'll never get it. That's why we don't go back and forth with them. They'll never get it. So Canon 98, a person who has reached majority has the full exercise of his or her rights. That's a term. We know we're not persons. We know we're not persons. Our person has full exercise economically and all of that, of full rights. It says a minor, somebody in the infantry, in the exercise of his or her rights remains subject to the authority of parents or guardians, except in those matters in which minors are exempted from their authority by divine law or canon law. So even when we were minor in the enactment, by divine law, we still had the right to sign things and do things. It's just that we could only go so far because of the parentus tool that our great Sheikh Taj talked about. It says, in what pertains to the appointment of guardians and their authority, the prescripts of civil law are to be observed unless canon law provides otherwise, or unless in certain cases, and whenever you see the word certain, they're going to start talking about authority and rights that are different, because they're always talking, they are alluding to the sovereign. It says, unless in certain cases the diocesan bishop for a just cause has decided to provide for the matter through the appointment of another guardian. Number 99 is the one that we will to show you. It says, whoever habitually lacks the use of reason is considered not responsible for oneself, non sui compos or non compos mentos, and is equated with infants. So they're telling you who the infantry is. That means they go out. Infantry can go to a car dealership and sign a car contract without full disclosure, not knowing anything, and just get caught on up. And then be wondering why their car payment for a $15,000 car is $1,000 a month for 7 years. Because they just did a war. They did infantry action. Going to war ignorantly, because guess what? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. That's why it's called infantry. And it is our responsibility, particularly matriarchs, because we birth everybody else, and birth or create or make or everybody else, everything, everyone. It is our job, Moors, overall, sons as well, to notify one another, notify, to share our information and our knowledge with one another, so that we don't have to do or be or think that we're fighting against infantry, because that's all. Minors and incompetence is infantry. That's a war situation. It's a war situation to go back and forth with infants and minors. that's not mentally competent right there. So we were talking about non-kinetic warfare. Now listen more, non-kinetic warfare. Economic sanctions, psychological operations, right here. A range of tactics, cyber attacks, information warfare. We just don't do it. We're at peace. We don't have to do it. Information warfare, we don't have to do it. Psychological operations, we don't have to do it. And we don't have to be afraid of it. And look here, cyber attacks targeting critical infrastructure, disinformation campaigns aimed at undermining public trust, and economic sanctions aimed at crippling an adversary's economy. There is no one strong enough to be our adversary. No one strong enough, no one worthy. So we've been executing non-kinetic peace fair with information, with economic measures, and with all other ways that we can do that. Returning the public trust, etc. One other question as we conclude: what is the clearest indicator that dead English is not one's language? We do not spell nor pronounce words in the same way that the dead corpses spell nor pronounce words. We do not sound dead. Islam. We're talking about capital letters. We have absolutely nothing to worry about regarding attempts to capitalize. We've had many, but there have been 3 or 4 really outspoken ones who attempted to copyright claim the Moorish National Republic federal government. We've had that happen. Like, their attempts were just, I was like, wow, you really gave that some thought. It doesn't work, but you gave it some good thought. We've had that happen from the very beginning, especially once they knew where we were going with all of this and that we were the wealthiest ever. We had them try to copyright claim by capitalizing. But please know this, for the record, none can reverse all that this Congress has done both on the record and off the record. Therefore, we are forever sovereign. None has been able to conquer because it is impossible to conquer God. You can see our timeline Congresses where we summarized some of our many actions. The timeline is so long and so extensive, and you would have to go back and reverse each one, each and everything, each and every vote, each and every statement that we made on the public record, and then you'd have to go back and clear the public records all over the place in order to undo the things that we've done. That's impossible. But let's just put the capstone on this type of, capitalizing to trademark and all of that, and then and try to exchange for fiat and all of that. On 2018, August the 3rd, the people who are this government placed the Universal Commercial Code 1 lien on the U.S. Trademark and Patent Office and on the public record. Here is the information here. The sending, this is the, and it's the last two numbers of each one of these certifications that changes. But we sent that, and it was received on August the 6th, 2018 at 10:42 a.m.
Islam, Mother Chief Justice Angelica Yvette Dobbs-Bay at Land of Naz-Attribute Territory affirms and makes the note stating that it is so. Islam.
Empress, let me finish too before you do that, because the rest of this is really important too. The Universal Commercial Code 1 lien information on all agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any derivatives thereof of the U.S. That includes the U.S. Trademark and Patent Office, quote unquote. On that day, here is the tracking, one of the trackings that we that we have from that time, and you'll see August the 6th. It arrived on August the 6th. We put it in on August the 3rd. It arrived at Washington, D.C. at that time. Now, let us say this too. Where that lien on the U.S. is concerned, no person shall have the right to take any such vehicle, part, or equipment thereof, or any such horse, mule, or other animal out of the custody of the person having such lien, except with the consent of said person, or upon paying the amount lawfully due, not legally, but lawfully due, for keep, storage, labor, or material. Such lien shall be valid against such vehicle, part, or equipment thereof, or against such horse, mule, or other animal in the possession of any person receiving or purchasing the same with notice of the lien claim. However, that such lien shall not take precedence over or be superior to any prior lien on said property created by a chattel mortgage. In other words, if you're in all capital letters, you cannot possibly put a lien on any property that has anything to do with anything, because you're property yourself.
Islam,
Empress.
So that actually canceled any former liens that anybody had. I mean, this is like monumental. If it canceled all of the liens that everybody has, that's on mortgages, vehicles, everything. What are we doing?
We're just putting it on the record, Empress, so that they know that it's been canceled, because some of them act like they don't know, but they're starting to get it because they keep running into that brick wall. Okay.
And when I was saying, what are we doing? It's like possessing what we need to possess. There's nothing holding us back from doing so.
Nothing.
Because if it's already been on the record, it's on the record and it's unrebutted. So it's
of
law.
Course. You know, Empress, you're so right about that, because look what we did at the beginning of this Congress. We went ahead and canceled the debt for them. Why? Because it doesn't add up to anything. Universal debt cancellation affidavit means they still don't have a claim, because any lien they put on it was put on it in debt. A bankrupt can't even do a lien.
Exactly. And if they have intelligence, to me, this would be their way out, because if there was remedy to be got from that, then they would actually suffer consequences. This actually allows everyone to have a clean slate and us to be able to, move forward.
And this is how the system works, so that now when you're talking about automobiles and things, there's a debt cancellation, so no claim for fiat can even be made on stuff that was on documents that were underwater, but the vehicle is sitting right there, seemingly looking abandoned. But it's not abandoned. We've already claimed everything. See how our system now comes into play?
Islam, clearly.
But see, we had to go ahead and do it, though. We couldn't wait. We had to go ahead and do it, because this time was approaching quickly. That's why when our grand sheet talks about August, September, and October, get your demonstrations ready. Just get them ready and be prepared. So, Islam, Empress Imani, may I just state this one final statement about this whole process right here?
Yes, you may. Islam.
Thank you, Empress. If any person liable to pay any tax neglects or refuses to pay the same after the demand, the amount, including any interest, addition to tax or assessable penalty, together with any cost that may accrue in addition thereto, shall be a lien in favor of the United States upon all property and rights to property, whether real or personal, belonging to such person. We're that United States because we restated this particular law. It's a law now. And that's that other 50% for the conveyances. It's a tax. Constitutionally, this government has the authority to lay taxes. And then here, the subjects are saying no more copyright protection for anyone, and you know, they're to them the sky is falling. The sky is falling. They're saying there's no more copyright protection for anyone, and that's true, except that we have proclaimed the copyright. See, they know what we've done already. We cannot be stopped. And let me say this. Whenever you see anything that says, oh, you don't need a driver's license anymore, you don't need this anymore, you don't need that anymore, that just means you don't need the dead one. Get you a living one that you create and just keep it in your possession so that that thing is covered. So we were going to talk about claims. A claim means to call, to cry out, to assert a right, a demand for something, a loud call. So this is what I will to say, Empress Imani, before we yield the floor. Matriarchs pay very close attention to this, please. We honor the matriarch so much because the matriarch is the protection for the nation, for the property, for everyone. For a claim on the Moorish National Republic, federal government, or anything that has to do with us, and all her agents, principals, heirs, and all other to be valid, the claim must be approved by each and every original indigenous ancient Moor who ever existed and who will ever exist, and it must be in writing to include those in our eternal ever-producing wombs for all generations, since time immemorial, beyond time perpetually. And that's how you get us to approve, you know, like, oh, someone tried to capitalize the Moorish National Republic federal government. We would all have to approve that in order for it to be valid. And that's if you can get to the Moors that are in our womb and the ones that were passed since time immemorial. See, the matriarch is the only one who has that approval.
Islam, I like this because there's no way.
There's no way. That's why we don't worry when we see actions being done that seem like they want to take possession of us. It can't be done. We're living proof of that. We're living proof of that. That not even foreign systems could keep us down because they didn't get approval from every one of us to do that. And that's how that works. Our wombs produce forever, so you might want to, you know, take your vitamins. You'll have to live a long time, and then you got to go way back into the past and get everyone's approval in writing, because we stand on their shoulders. So, you know, fear not, Moors, when you see things on paper, you know, in writing about things like that, because it'll never happen. It'll never happen.
Islam, we affirm.
There you go.
Land of Nod affirms.
Yeah, you got some plowing to do.
For the record, into perpetuity. Islam.
Oh yes. So there are some things going on in Babylon, but you know, we move forward. We keep moving. Any other questions, comments, wisdom from this amazing Congress?
Islam.
Chief Justice Imani, and then Chief Justice Ogunwale.
Islam,
Empress.
the entire Congress. And I held my tongue. And of course,
you know, I have a lot of questions, so I just have to go back and listen because there was a lot stated. There was a lot stated, and some I just need more insight. However, two questions that do stand out from what you stated earlier, and here's what I'm thinking from everything that has just been stated. This is my summation. So, because and so we record everything in our court, then there is no need for us to even exchange delarium, give quote unquote, maybe not notification to the subject in the office of recorder, and maybe even the deeds office, you know, any subjects of that nature, because we do our own recording. Did I understand that correctly?
So here is our statement on that. When you're talking about systems, and you will that the system do what is all that it's supposed to do, that's why we put those offices in place, because it's a system. And that keeps you from having to notify each and every sovereign individually of what you've done. All they have to do is refer to the office and they'll get that information. That's why we do it that way. With the offices, the office is a notifier of everyone. If anyone wants to know the information about land or property, they know to go to the county.
So then it's not that we're exchanging delarium for them to record anything. It's just a notification for them.
It's just notification.
Wow. Okay.
And we can send a fee, a allodial cost for that to happen, so that they do get something that the office is tributed to. Because remember, Empress, even the office has to pay tribute back to us. And we will that tribute be in delarium, because we're the government. The officers have to pay.
Oh, and that's the same thing as if we needed the provost marshal, or if we needed the subject in the office of chief of police, then that would be the same thing, because we need to, maybe this is the correct term, compensate for what they've done.
So let me put it this way. Those are only notifications and systems. If anything needs to be done by the chief of police, we do it. And we've done that many times. We just notify. We send notification. If there's something that we had to deliver, we would deliver it, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Second question. So you mentioned something about the unlawful occupation, and you were stating, well, if we do that, and I can't remember exactly how you stated it, but if we do that, and now I can't even remember how you stated it or what it was you actually stated. I just jotted down unlawful occupation, and so I'm thinking, does that mean we no longer have or schedule court action? Because that would be the reason for scheduling the court action in the first place, would be the unlawful occupation.
So we schedule court actions because we're giving notification from that. Number one, that we're the justices and that our courts are speaking. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, we call them into court just so that notification is given on the public record that anyone acting in that capacity is subject to arrest. So they don't show up. That's why they don't show up. When we first started doing court actions, it was our court against all caps of a bunch of different things and names and people. And none of them showed up because they know they're not supposed to be in all caps on our land. And that's the levy process also. what we did was graduate the court action to the levy process. The levy process says if you're acting in black ink and all capital letters, you can't claim no property either, so we'll take that. That's what levy process is, because you owe taxes in that all caps.
Islam, this is so fabulous. Islam, I have I don't have any other questions. Islam, thank you so much.
Thank you for asking the questions that others may, they may just not want to ask them at the time, or,
Islam, right.
Yeah.
Islam.
Any place that we can clarify, we're so happy to do so. Our ancestors know what they're doing through each and every one of us. We all work together, and for that, we are grateful.
Islam,
Empress.
I have a question.
Yes,
regarding a statement during the official House of Reawakening Minds, Taj. So Taj made a statement about the Board of Education philosophy, 1902, that, and he made the statement that it was after the murder of Winona that was created. And I would like some clarity on the connection there. I've done some research on Winona and the Lover's Leap and that whole thing, but I'm trying to make the connection between the two. There's something I'm missing, and I'd just love to get some clarity if possible.
So whenever he's referring to Winona or any of the matriarchs connecting with the foreigners in that manner, in the way of supposed marriage or coming together, that is symbolic of the transition to corporate court status. Because there was a transition to it, and now we've transitioned back to ourselves.
Okay, that I felt that was where I was going, but I couldn't find the specific, because I even had said, made the statement to someone about that happening. So then with the creation of the education board and that curriculum, basically, to keep us the progeny, basically, of the womb of the woman, in a state of death, a state of ignorance, a state of, an enactment, not, but away from the truth. That, so just clarify, it wasn't specifically date-wise, it was the overarching code. It was code, really and truly. And thank you. You clarified for me and affirmed that I was on the correct path. I just had to just knit it together properly. Thank you for that.
You're welcome, Empress. All of these things happen, everything, the acceptance of our estate, the transfer of wealth and all of that happens over a period of time and a series of actions.
Right. That's the coil, and it's dimensional, and it's multi-layered. And the other piece that I added on in my breaking down of it was that what we were doing now was reversing that. That was the result. That was the thank you. I mean, I'm tapping myself on my shoulder right now because I was there.
Yes. Yes. And see, it all happened with the matriarch first.
And yes, it had to. And the other piece in that also, there is a Lover's Leap enactment up the road from me. And with
Empress?
Yes.
That's like commercial intercourse That is the enactment of, that's the three-dimensional enactment of commercial intercourse and into the fiat realm.
Into the, yeah, I'm just literally up the road, literally, and in that enactment has to be, because it's in the hands of in the enactment now, in the hands of foreigners. Yeah.
Well, commerce is called intercourse.
Yes, it is.
The signing of each and every contract that we signed was like signing a marriage contract to the corpses.
To the court, which is what our marriage contracts that we thought we were doing between our consorts was the same. Yep.
Enactment. Yep. Same one.
Yep.
And that's why we had to do what we've done. We had to do that. And now, August, September, and October.
That piece was very, yes, getting my popcorn.
We're prepared for it.
We are prepared. Yes, we are prepared. Islam, I yield.
Empress Nabi.
Islam, what Empress Sasha was saying, those are all contracts. Just going back to what you were saying, the registration, the title, any type of contract that we have had with them, being able to cancel all of that kind of wipes the slate clean and allows us to move forward.
Yeah. And that's something that we have to do. We have to do it. The proper, and it's already done from our perspective. It's already done. So our suggestion is to get the 40-something documents on the public record. Those who've not done that, do it as soon as possible. We can't tell sovereigns what to do, but we can make suggestions based on what we know about the law. Put them on the public record, because then that means that you are the law, which is a truth where identity is concerned. Get the 40-something documents on the public record, because you got other ministerial duties and responsibilities where property and automobiles and all of that is concerned. We have some huge things that are happening right now. They've been going on in the background so as not to frighten anyone. But when I say frighten, I mean frighten in a good way.
Us taking back I'll put it like us operating as the true holders of the land and managing our own estate. And I've seen a lot of people try to commingle things or have intercourse with something that is dead in order to get some fiat. And, well, come on, Empress Nabi or Sister Nabi, you got to do, no.
Necromancy.
It's in fraud. And people
necromancy.
Exactly. People won't be patient and sit down and do the work. And then they'll wonder why they're not getting the results. It's because you're mixing.
And then trying to pull everybody else into that mix.
Exactly.
That's why we don't have a leader. We lead ourselves.
Yes, Islam.
Because that's crazy, Empress Nabi. That's just... And they're excited about that stuff, too, the ignorance and the incompetence. Excited.
Exactly. Now I just sit and let people talk, because it's like I'm not going to talk back. It's like, Islam. Islam. If that's what you believe, I know what I know.
Empress, they don't realize that they're going to be tested on the stuff they're talking about as soon as they try to get out there and demonstrate serving two masters.
I hear a lot of people talk about, well, AI will just do the paperwork. I'm like, I laugh so much. I'm like, okay, if you want AI handling your business, watch what happens.
Yeah, AI is not going to do the paperwork for us. We're going to do our own paperwork. Because in reality, that's what happened previously, is the system was saying and doing things, and whoever and third-party interlopers came in and just said, okay, we'll make the system say this and do this. But see, right now, we're non-kinetically doing that with the systems. Non-kinetically, meaning we don't have to physically go and enter things into our system. The system is going to obey our commands because it recognizes our voice.
Islam.
And another, it will not follow.
Islam, and that's how you tell who is who.
That's how you know. We're not trying to use someone else's system to do things. What we're doing is doing what good computer programmers would do. Program the computer. Program the system. Good systems operators. The universe is a system. We programming that too, even as we speak. So all is well with us. It's just a matter of continuing to do what we're doing. I have to salute this Congress for the amazing, because we're not scared of anything. We just do what we do. And, everybody is welcome to bring their minds to this Congress, and let's all continue to govern, continue to rule and reign. So all is well. We'll keep doing what we're doing. We're preparing demonstrations even now that we're excited about to get them done. So the system is ours. The properties, all the conveyances, everything, automobiles, the houses, all that stuff belongs to us. It all belongs to us. It's just a matter of taking the time to competently state that and demonstrate that we know the protocol and the procedure and the law, so that our system it was waiting for us to speak. And now we're doing that. So with that being stated, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Peace and love. Okay, Empress.
Love you too.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Islam.
Islam.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Grand Rising. Moors. Grand Rising.
Islam.
Peace and great Grand Rising, all the Moors. Enough love and respect, Empress.
Islam, nobility. Thank you.
Grand Rising.
Gratitude.
Islam, Justice Tonus. Grand Rising. Islam.